3 but 4 AIA Singapore Premier League matches. We concentrate here as the Cheetahs take on the Eagles. Don't forget it's Topayo, also live on Singtel Star Hub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and One Play Sports. It's Balestier Cows, the Stags, Tampines Rovers at Topayo, Tanjung United and the Sailors at Jurong East, and at Janabasar, the Young Lions taking on Albrecht's Negata, the defending champions who got their season off to a winning start against the team that are entertaining Geylang tonight. Alongside me, AFC ambassador and a familiar face to fans of Singapore and Asian football, Mr. Roshan Rai. And Roshan, we could have picked any one of those 4 games as our feature match tonight, but it's good to be here to get a look at 2 clubs that are associated with, shall we say, some of the most passionate fans in Singapore.
I think you'd be right, and it's absolutely right that we should be looking forward to this one. 2 sides with lots of quality in there. And we're looking for a reaction, especially from Hougang United. We know Geylang International got their season off to a really good start. And it's time for Hougang to respond after their opening day defeat to Albrecht's Negata. But you're right, there are plenty of choice for fans of Singapore Premier League to have a look at 4 matches going across at the same time. But I'm going to be a little bit biased and say this is the best one because, well, we're involved in it. So here we go.
Well, it's been picked for a reason, I think, because these are 2 clubs. I mean, obviously, Hougang 2 seasons back had a campaign that eventually got them into AFC Cup football. Unfortunately for them, that AFC Cup campaign was curtailed in 2020 for reasons which we're fully aware of. But it was last season Gaiylang that took that supporting role in terms of AFC Cup qualification. And, of course, Gaiylang will be involved in the AFC Cup in June. They've been drawn in Group I alongside Kaya of the Philippines, Hougang United of Myanmar and Terengganu of Malaysia. That's still to come, though, as our match officials walk out onto the surface, led by our referee today, Mr. Nathan Chan. We await the arrival of the players. Yes, obviously, Hougang, they've made some changes. I'll confirm the team news for you in a minute, but you mentioned those defensive problems. There was a shocking goalkeeping error by Ridwan. He's paid the price with his spot going to an under-23. You don't often see the under-23 players in between the sticks, but Makundan Moran has that honour tonight as the Cheetahs come out onto the pitch. Yeah,
great opportunity for Mukundan. He has experience as well playing in the league with Warriors FC a couple of seasons ago, and you know, he'll be looking to try and prove his worth of a starting spot here in this side. And you feel a little bit for Ridwan in the sense that, you know, yes, he made a big mistake. Unfortunately for goalkeepers, you make one error, it tends to result in a goal for the opposition. But generally, I thought he had an all-right game. He was decent with his feet, made a couple of good saves for Hougang in that one. But look, you know, that's the way it is at the moment with competition for places in the goalkeeping department. You make a mistake, you're out. In comes the next player.
And speaking of team news, Geylang making the 2 changes. They too make a change in goal. Zainal on MC. So Hyrule Suhiran is in between the sticks. So 2 rookie goalkeepers for this season starting this one. As the first thing that strikes me, Roshan, is both teams with new kits this season, and I know Geylang's has attracted a lot of attention. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down to the new green and white combo? And what if Hougang have got a bit more black than orange this season?
Yeah, I'm not really too much a fan of green, if I'm honest, on jerseys, but I can see why people like it. It's a nice little mix. It's quite retro-ish in the way it looks, I think. You know, their away kit is pretty nice as well. I think they've got a pink away kit, Geylang. There's some really nice kits around the SPL this season, I have to say. So, you know, that's something as well to keep an eye out on. Lots of supporters out there, you know, quite interested in what the teams are wearing and looking to purchase jerseys of their own.
Very interested as well, of course. The fans will be of the team news. We'll confirm them graphically for you in a minute. But just to let you know, Gilberto Fortunato, I love the name. He starts for Hougang, having come off the bench in that defeat against Albrechts. And the other news, it's not a starting slot, but it is a place on the bench for the Dutchman that comes with a huge reputation after that stellar season with Bali. Silvano Convalius could be making his debut in Singapore tonight, Roshan.
Yeah, I think, you know, if they're in a situation where they need him to come on, if they'll be in a little bit of trouble, they've always got that option to bring on. Had a really good season a few years ago with Bali, but since then his career has just gone sideways a little bit, so he's got something to prove this season. There's
our match officiating team, of course. The new sponsors of the match ball this season, our friends at Select. It's Nathan Chan, the man in the middle, assisted by Ronnie Coe and Tang Min Kai, with Awai Sathya Kumar as the 4th official. Interesting as well, of course, news on Barry Maguire. He hobbled off very early on inside the first 10 minutes to be replaced by Moresche, who went on to be the hero of the game. We'll confirm what's happened with him in just a minute, but first, talk us through the Hougang team. 4 changes for them, Roshan.
You mentioned Mukundan already coming in. We've also got Shawal Anwar starting this match. Fabian Kwok comes in and captains his side. Gilberto, she mentioned, starting up front. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on with Tomoyuki Doi in those forward positions. I'm sure it'll give them a little bit more of an attacking threat. Seeing Shahril Ishak take his place on the bench here. One of the changes being made. Hafiz as well, who started at left back against Albirex. He takes his place on the bench. There seem to be good options in that Hougang United squad overall.
And very quickly, we'll go through Geylang because we are going to have a minute's silence. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Yes, but Matthias Moresche, despite that dub, having come off the bench to replace the injured Barry Maguire, who is out for the entire first round, much to Noor Ali's disappointment, he still has a place on the bench. Ferdows Kazman, back from suspension, fills that slot. Quick word on that Geylang lineup for Russia.
Yeah, we're looking at the Geylang lineup, and not too many changes in there because they've been nice and comfortable with the win in that first match. So, no reason to make as many changes as Hougang have. Okay,
the action just moments away, but we are going to have a minute's silence, as I told you a moment ago. And terribly sad news that one of the Geylang ultras, Yus, has passed away in a road traffic accident. So we're having a moment of silence from all the team here at the AI Singapore Premier League. We pass our condolences on to the family. Impeccably observed, and of course the ultras aren't allowed in the stadium, but there is a pocket of them observing social distancing on the other side of the stadium, just getting a glimpse through the nooks and crannies of this match, and I'm sure it's a very poignant moment for them. The coaching teams meet in the middle. Clement Teo, he's a bit of a man that is difficult to read. Noor Ali, again, I'm impressed in the last season or two. Noor Ali seems to have calmed down his emotions on the touchline a little bit.
Well, we'll see handshakes and hugs on the touchline there between the two coaches and the respective benches. I'm sure once the match kicks off, that'll all go out the window. Both these coaches are quite outspoken, and they'll make themselves heard.
A reminder that this is one of 4 games. They're already underway at Jalan Besar. Young Lions, Albirex, Negata, Hougang, Geylang here, Tanjung Pagar Lion City at Jurong East and Balestier Khalsa, Tampines Rovers at Topayo. All 4 games live on Singtel StarHub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and One Play Sports as well. But Washington and myself focus here on Geylang, AFC Cup bound Geylang against the Hougang team whose defence has had all kinds of trouble. Just 1 clean sheet in the last 24, and that was against the shot-shy Jaguars. It's Geylang in the green and white playing left to right, and Hougang in the black and orange playing right to left, and straight away it's a good steal from the Cheetahs, but that's a miscued pass by Tomoyuki Doi. Interesting, I mean, we've seen title winners with Albirex Roshan, as they tend to do. They disperse, don't they, almost like the end of a school year, and they attend at least a few of them every season to find themselves at a Singapore Premier League club. Geylang probably have the oldest example of that still going in Yuchi Ichikawa, but they are hit and miss, aren't they? Some of them don't have the same kind of prolificity that they do when they're in that Albirex Negata setup.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you look at that Albirex side and how organized they are, and it takes a little bit of an adjustment as well in terms of moving over to a local team. Your training structures are different. Your training times are perhaps different as well, and the quality of players and in terms of the tactics that you're sort of used to playing in when you're at Albirex. You come over to a local team, there's a lot of adjustment that takes place on and off the pitch as well. So some players are able to deal with that a lot better. Some players have a bit more of that difficulty.
Long ball through, and this is going to hold up, and there's an example as well of the playing surface. We had an extraordinarily heavy shower between about 5:15 and 6:15. It's a testament to how good the drainage here at Hougang is, that there's not standing water on the surface, but the ball is going to do occasionally strange things, which of course takes my mind back to the corresponding fixture last year that was played in glorious sunshine as the referee plays on there. gives Hougang a chance to continue their forward assault. Yes, the corresponding fixture last season, I was here, Roshan. Geylang won 2-0, and it was 2 goals that Khairudin, who I believe may have left the game at this point, will not want to remember. Both scored by Chris van Heusen, and really, on another day, it would have been a 0-0 draw. Yeah,
I mean, Van Heusen, we know is what he has in terms of his qualities with his set pieces, with his crossing ability as well. And we saw a glimpse of that in that opening game against Tanjung Pagar United. He had a nice little understanding down the left-hand side with Harith Kanadi, who is a player who's got loads of energy getting up and down the left for Geylang. It's something that Hougang have got to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, Harith Kanadi ran himself into the ground on Sunday. It was a sterling performance by the youngster as Hougang win the first corner of the piece. Just over 2 minutes on the clock. Tomoyuki Dai will take it, and the keeper has to come, and he gets a punch on it, Hyrule. Only as far as the edge of the area, and Geylang can now bring it away. And you'll see an example there of the standing water that does still exist. It's going to lead to some mistakes, this Roshan.
Yeah, I think it sort of helped Hougang a little bit in that situation because Geylang looked very good in those counter-attacking areas. Once the set piece of the opposition breaks down, they're very quick to get themselves forward, although well, he's done well to win the ball there.
This is a promising start, isn't it, for Hougang, Roshan? I mean, bearing in mind he'll have wanted a response, Clementio, after what happened at Jurong East. It was a promising opening 3 minutes from them.
That's good work by Farhan. Starting out at left back here, it seems, for Hougang. Again, another very positive player, young man, great with his ability.
Lovely turn from Mereka. He's not connected, but he's gone in! Goodness grief! Oh my word, I'm speechless almost. Just like in last season, it's a goalkeeping clanger to end all clangers. The ball was travelling in slow motion, and the defence turned round and asked the debutant Mukundan exactly what happened there. And Mereka's done this season what Chris van Heusen did last. He's put the Eagles in front courtesy of a goalkeeping howler.
That's another nightmare goal for Hougang. Mukundan in that situation just seemed to completely misjudge the flight of the ball. Just looked like it just skidded its way into the far post there, Mereka. Doesn't seem to be too much power on that strike from Emi. But, you know, it's a good reward for their hard work there, Geylang. We know the nice pressing in those positions, stealing the ball off Farhan initially and then working it into Emi.
I'm wondering whether he lost his bearings and he thought that was going wide. That can be the only explanation because Mukundan just watched it trickle in, and I must apologise, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties brought about by a power surge that occurred during those thunderstorms I mentioned earlier. We aren't able to bring you a replay of that goal, and I apologise to everyone, and obviously the man that will be happiest about that is the man that's in goal for Hougang after that clanger. He's given us a very early goal. It's the first goal of the night, and it goes to Geylang. What's the response going to be from the Cheetahs, who prior to that had started well? On the turn, it's Sharon Anwar looking to link up with Gilberto Fortunato. Haven't seen much from him yet, but we're seeing something from him now. Here's the Brazilian, squares it, but there was no one on the edge of the 6-yard box to put it away, but we got a glimpse there, Roshan, of what that Brazilian is capable of.
That's a good example of the strength that he brings to this forward line, but it's end-to-end here, Patrick.
They're in again into the area. My word, you can't draw breath at the minute. It's Mereka again. Amy leaves it. And running onto it, Ferdhouse just couldn't get the touch. Well, an exhilarating start, if nothing else, Roshan.
What a great game of football we're having at the moment. Both these sides going at it. Nice and open. End-to-end, as I mentioned. Quick ball out to Zikos there down the left-hand side. Just looking to try to cut in onto his right foot to have a crack at goal. But just before that, again, great example of that strong centre-forward play by Gilberto and the qualities that he has. Just held off the challenge of Faisal. Find a teammate, unfortunately.
He's got a real problem, Clementio, with goalkeepers, hasn't he? I mean, I'm not just blaming the goalkeeper for all of it as that pass goes astray, but one clean sheet now in the last 25 games, and that came in a goalless draw against Tanjung Pagar United. As competitive as the Singapore Premier League is going to be this season, you won't be able to compete in the top 4 if you can't keep clean sheets, I don't think.
No, you can't. And this is the thing. I mean, we spoke about Mukundan being given an opportunity here after a mistake from Ridwan. And he's made a clanger of his own. He completely misjudged the movement of the ball there, allowing it to trickle into the far post. Now, what you've got is a test of his mental strength here in this situation. Of not just him, but also his side as well. How do they respond? How do they help him out? And how does Mukundan himself respond to being in goal here? Because yes, you've made that one error. Now you've got to make sure you don't make a second or a third.
I mean, the pressure's on in the AIA Singapore Premier League this season. All the clubs have invested strongly, as that's going to be a tester for the keeper if it comes through to him. He needs to try and stop the corner here. Should be able to do so. Brings it into his area and releases. Very close to bringing that outside his area and then back in, which of course would have been a free kick, but he gets away with it. And it was interesting, wasn't it, because the back line just stared at him and, you know, asked the question. It maybe was up to someone to go and put an arm around him, because for that to happen so early in the game, he now more than ever is needing to refocus and make sure that he doesn't let anything else past him. But on the evidence of what we've seen, despite the less than an ideal playing service here, Roshan, you get the feeling there are more goals in this one.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the surface as well, and we're going to see a few errors, a few mistakes being made. We already saw one leading to that goal, with seeing players slipping and sliding around at the moment. So I'm sure we'll see a few more. As Lionel says, the ball's just lost a little bit of air. Kicks it out of play. And look, again, the response so far from Hougang has been pretty good, to be fair to them. I mean, we already saw an opportunity from Gilberto getting the ball into him, using his strength and his pace, just to almost individually create a chance for Hougang.
It's interesting, isn't it? He's playing a lot deeper, seemingly, for Hougang than he was for Albrecht's Tomoyuki Doi. They were the kind of chances that were being created that he was forever on the edge of the 6-yard box putting away. 11 goals last season, only Stipe Plazibat scored more in the AIA Singapore Premier League, but he wasn't on the edge of the 6-yard box on that occasion. But promising signs that he's going to be a handful down this left-hand side. Fortunato, still goalless everywhere else, incidentally.
But having a few issues with the match ball here. Someone's going to have to grab a pump.
Well, it's being given back to Hougang, courtesy of a long clearance for a goal kick. And it's going to be a chance for Mukundan just to get a touch of the ball here. Plays it very short to Lionel Tan, and that's another mistake. Just whistles through and back to Hyrule, who doesn't take the area route. That was quite a low trajectory, and it's picked up in the middle of the park by Fabian Kwok, the Hougang skipper.
I think we're going to see a few of those, you know, a few of those errors, as I mentioned. Tricky surface for the players to sort of deal with, and a few patches of water here and there as well.
Well, that's a good through ball, but it's missed out everyone apart from Tomoyuki Doi! It's 1-1 in 9.5 minutes. And it's Geylang's turn to slip up defensively. And Tomoyuki Doi showing that striker's instinct that got him to 11 goals last season. Latched onto it beautifully, Roshan.
Yeah, it's a great ball from the young man, Farhan Zulkifli. From that left-back position, he receives it with time and space to have a look up. And again, it's a mistake at the back. Plenty of power on that pace, on that pass through. It's a beautifully weighted ball into Tomoyuki Doi. Just makes that run across that defensive line of Geylang. It's difficult for them to track his movement there. Good, cool finish in the end. And he'll be feeling a lot better about himself getting that goal. As Mukundan comes across, and he'll be happy that Doi has helped him out. Get themselves back on level terms there. He'll be feeling a lot better as well.
Yes, the lead that lasted for barely 6 minutes. And it's tied at 1-1. Incidentally, we're over the 10-minute mark in all of tonight's 4 games. No goals anywhere else, so we did pick the right match. Roshan as Fabian Kwok plays it through the middle to the goal scorer, Tomoyuki Doi. His first goal in orange and black. Is the flag going to go up? Here it is. Offside against Shawal Anwar.
Yeah, it was just a little bit late there, that pass. Was always on. Shawal just making that run. Fortunately, the turn and pass from Tomoyuki Doi was a little bit too late. He's apologizing, Shawal, taking responsibility for that.
Well, 2 goals in the opening 10 minutes. And again, I wonder that Hougang goal, Roshan, and in fact the first goal, anything to do with the playing service? You've just seen another air shot there from Maxat. Do you think that the service has played a part in those initial 2 errors? Would they have been goals if the pitch had been playing fair and true?
No, I think it's definitely an issue to do with the pitch. You've got to read the movement of the ball, the pace of the ball, and how it just sort of skids off the surface. Can be tricky at times. If you're not sort of used to playing on a wet surface, you know, all the time, then it can be difficult to deal with. So you just sort of misjudge the flight of the ball. It skids off the surface, and you're in deep, deep trouble. And we've already seen 3 examples I can think of that. You know, we've had Yuki Ichikawa miskick one, we've had Faisal Roslan miskick one, and we've had Zaki Baliev as well for Hougang. Just miskick the other one as well as flag goes up, but it's wave play on.
Yeah, advantages, pull back. Time to take up the shot, and that's a wonderful save from Hyrule, because Gilberto Fortunata had found himself in space. He did nothing wrong, the Brazilian, it was just a fine save.
There's a bit of disagreement going on there, and Geylang player has gone down on the far side. Let's have a look as Idraki, referee waves play on, he drives into the box. There's a clever cutback into Gilberto.
He was like doing a 3-point turn there, Gilberto, to get the shot away. He had to reverse, take a run up, and he had the time to try and pick a spot. Best save of the game so far from Hyrule, and it's led to the second corner of the match. Both of them have gone to Hougang, and it's the goal scorer Tomoyuki Doi who is going to go over to take it. We saw that situation on Sunday when Geylang played Tanjung Pagar. There was 16 players in the 6-yard box towards the end of the game for corners. A bit more spread out this time. Tomoyuki Doi looking for the audacious flick. Behind was Kaishu Yamazaki, but it's out for another corner. Elsewhere, Balestier Kelsa 0, Tampines Rovers 0, Tanjung Pagar United 0, Lion City Sailors 0, and the Young Lions 0, Albirex Nagata Singapore 0. Here, we've already had 2 goals. Tomoyuki Doi's corner. For a minute, thought might give them a 3, but referee seen an infringement in the box, and the pressure is off. Hougang enjoying much the best of this, about 65% possession, Roshan.
Yeah.
They'll just be kicking themselves. They've conceded, really, and the only opportunity Geylang have been presented with.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you'd be ruining that error, but I guess on the other side, the flip side of it is you'll be pleased with the response that they've shown. They've got themselves back on level terms. It could have been easy for them to sort of feel a bit sorry for themselves, but they haven't. They responded well. And one of the issues that they had against Albirex in their first game was, you know, they were okay with their building up from the back, but it was that second phase. Progression of the ball was very difficult for them. And I guess here they're finding a little bit more time on the ball. They're going a little bit more direct as well. Happy to just send it through as we see Zaki Baliev go right through the back of one of Geylang's players there.
Is it on the deck there? I can't quite make it out. No, it's not.
It looks like it's Zikos.
Yeah. Zikos, yeah. I don't think there's going to be many quarters asked and probably fewer given here. And bearing in mind the conditions, it's going to be a tricky task for Nathan Chan to keep a lid in this, I think, at times.
Well, here's another look at that. You know, he just got straight through the back of Zaki Baliev. I mean, I'm surprised he actually gotten away with that.
You can see
without a caution.
Just behind the stadium, and they're not in the stadium, believe me, that's the Hougang halls, and to the left-hand side of that stand, which you'll see when the ball's up the other end, are the Geylang Ultras, all observing social distancing, and there's a fair few number of both sets of supporters over there on the far side, which is nice to see them observing social distancing, and I'm sure they, like so many of you, can't wait to get back into the grounds of the AIA Singapore Premier League with such an exciting season in store.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it's a credit to the fans that are out here, you know, trying to make themselves heard. Yeah, they're not allowed into the stadiums, but there they are on the outside, you know, making sure that the team can hear them, hear the support. They're in fine voice as well.
Oh, that was a misjudgment momentarily from Farhan Zulkifli. Got away with it though. As Hougaang's assistant coach is up there on the touchline, and there's another cheap giveaway. Shawalamwa trying to use that pace, and he does look like he's got pace to burn down that left-hand side. Shawalamwa and Gilberto Fortunata, who seems to be in something of a roving role through the first quarter of an hour, Roshan. They are going to cause Geylang problems, that's for certain. Oh,
we saw some good movement from that front too. Fortunato and Doi, so given the license to just run across that defensive line if they need to. Taking those diagonal runs in. A few issues for that Geylang defense. Faisal Roslan looking a little bit shaky at the moment. Had a really good game the last time out against Tanjung Pagar. He's a player that I quite like. It was a smart signing to make for Geylang International, getting a good, solid, young central defender in there.
Yes, of course, Geylang had a triple whammy raid of the Lion City Sailors for Isdinik Ram and Faisal. Two of those players, of course, straight into Noor Ali's starting 11. If you're wondering where Moresche is, he's on the bench, the Brazilian that scored twice at the weekend. And if you're wondering if Silvano Convalius is ready to play, not quite. He's on the bench though as well, as that's going to drift out for a corner, is it? I think it did go out for a corner ball. Assistant referee on that far side is pointing to the corner flag. So despite the best efforts of Faisal, it's out for a corner. And these corners are starting to mount up now as well.
Well, sorry, Patrick.
No, carry
Just
on,
going to say it was much better from Faisal Roslan defensively there, but he's got to be a little bit smarter, because if he just goes in body to body with Gilberto, he tries to get into those physical challenges a little bit too much, he will get caught out.
First goal elsewhere has got in. It's at Jalan Young Lions 0, Albrechts Nagata 1. The champs lead, and Hougang trying to come from behind to take a first half lead here. And you'd have to say on the balance of play through the first 17 minutes at Roshan, if you had to pick a team that would be in front at half-time at the moment, despite having gone one down, they've equalised, you'd now say it was Hougang, wouldn't you? Yeah,
they are looking really good, Hougang. Again, it's nice and tight, good organisation, a 4-4-2 off the ball here. Into midfield, trying to just prevent Geylang from playing those short passes out.
There's a clumsy challenge, committed but clumsy by Farhan Zulkifli. Darren Tay takes it quickly. He's a player to watch, Darren Tay. He's very versatile, isn't he, Roshan?
Yeah.
I noticed it on Sunday. The longer the game went on, the further up the field he was. He'd have been up in the stands, I think, if they played another half hour. Great takedown from Amy. He gets it inside to the forward thinking, Darren Tay! And that's a wonderful covering piece of defence, Roshan.
Well, it's great work from both those sets of wide players. You've got from Geylang International, Amy there, looking for that underlap of Darren. Great run from the right back, driving into the box. And then, of course, you've got Shawal, who started out on his left-hand side, left winger, front of Farhan, helping his left back out. Really good work, working in pairs in those situations, both those sets of wide men.
Wonderful touch from Darren Tate to take the ball past Lionel Tan as well, showing some silky skills. And that's a nice lead from Amy. They're in business again. Far post keeper comes, and it needed to be headed behind and was, but this is the best we've seen from Geylang since they scored that early goal.
Yeah, not the right ball. Not the right ball from Firdaus. I think he knows it as well. Got his head in his hands just now. It was a run made by Zikos just in towards the near post. Perhaps that would have been a better option, but it was nice approach play from Geylang just to set Firdaus through in that situation.
Chris Van Heusen is over to swing this one in with his right foot. Geylang not committing too many players into the area, only 4 of them to attack this, so they play it short. Second phase cross comes in and it's deep and just over the crossbar of Mukundan's goal. Remains Hougang 1, Geylang International 1. The only other goal so far, Albrechts Nagata lead against the Young Lions. But a promising start, water break not too far away. What are your thoughts on these water breaks as we take a look at Noor Ali?
Yeah, I think they're all right. They're obviously erring on the side of safety a little bit. You know, if you're going to go take away the 5 substitutes, you're going to just have 3, then I'm quite okay with the water breaks in place. You know, there have been a few adjustments that have had to be made because of the situation with COVID-19 in terms of training situations and things like that. So I don't mind it at all. Yes, it does break up the tempo a little bit, but health and safety at times has got to come first in certain situations. And from what we've seen, the evidence of having 19 goals in those first 4 matches in the SPL hasn't dulled any of the entertainment at all.
I suppose there is an element. I mean, it's to the officials' credit that they turn around the water breaks very quickly in all the games I saw, but it does make it a little bit like American football with 4 quarters. El Gilberto was undone by the slip from Tomoyuki Doi, but it's straight back to Lionel Tan, who tries to switch play over to that far side. In there, hustling for it is Fires Salah, and that should skip through and out for a goal kick, and does.
Tell you what, good tempo to this game. Again, ball moving very quickly. Both these sides looking to close each other down, especially in those midfield areas. They try and force errors if they can. That's another loose ball played by Ichikawa. Fortunately, Kaishu Yamazaki just couldn't find a runner in that situation.
I'm enjoying this positive play from Hougang. They're obviously finding Geylang a little bit easier in terms of the level of opposition than they did at Jalan Besar Jurong East at the weekend against Albrechts Nagata. And of course, they're holding the form line up well at the moment, Albrechts, because they lead already by a 1-0 against the Young Lions. I'm just trying to see if I can find out who the goal scorer is. It's Ryoya Taniguchi. So Taniguchi with the opener for Albrechts Nagata. Chested down by Yamazaki. Of course, there's a smattering of these Albrechts and Nagata players everywhere now. You've got Nakamura at Tampines, Ichikawa at Geylang, now Yamazaki and Tomoyuki Doi at Hougang. Have I missed anyone out? The Sailors did have one, didn't they? But of course, Yamazaki made his way to Hougang. If you have just joined us and missed the opening 2 goals, we'll get a chance to see them at the water break as the flag goes up for offside. Just a slight lull in proceedings. Well, if you're a friend or relative of Mukunda Moran, we'll give you a prior warning because it's a question of looking away now. It was a terrible mistake. And then at the other end, Ichikawa, Canadian Darren Tate conspiring to let the ball slip through all 3 of them for Tomoyuki Doi to latch onto for his first goal of the season to level it up. So it's been a fascinating game to this point. Gaiylang looking for Amy Recker, who was really useful, had the freedom of the right-hand side at the weekend against Tanjung Pagar and took full advantage on a number of occasions. The flag's down here, and Shawal Anwar just about goal side, couldn't take it in at the first time of asking. Fortunata and Tomoyuki Doi wait in the middle, and the cross is a huge anti-climax, Roshan.
Yeah, I mean, look, at acres of space to work with Shawal there, and that was an outlet always for them for Hougang. The moment it broke down, he was hugging the touchline here, waiting to attack that space down Gaylang's right-hand side on transition. And the reason why that happened is because when Geylang do get themselves in possession, Darren Tate tends to drift infield. That leaves that space for Shawal Anwar to work with if Hougang can get it into him quickly, which they did on that occasion.
Farhan Zulkifli showing a nice change of pace there to get goal side of Amy Recker and snuff out a little bit of a threat. Shawal Anwar plays it inside. Oh, that's lovely, fast-thinking football, and it's the speedster away at the races again. Farhan Zulkifli squares it. Tomoyuki Doi was just behind him, and another chance goes a begging. But what about that pace of Farhan Zulkifli? Amy Recker's no slouch. He skinned him at one end, and then had the freedom of the left-hand side down the other.
Such a beautiful passing move from Hougang. Again, they draw Geylang in with that that invitation to press. Short passes out, and then that long ball into the space. Good overlapping run from Farhan Zulkifli. But when they get themselves into those situations, have to make better use of the ball. Twice now we've seen them look to get themselves into spaces down that side of the pitch. Make better decisions in those areas for Farhan. Encouraging signs there, but you just want him to drive into the box there because there was space for him to push into the penalty area.
It's just a yard behind Tomoyuki Doi. If it had been a yard in front, I think the outcome would have been inevitable. Zulkifli with a throw. Fortunata showing his strength, looking for the back flick. Somehow, Hougang still have possession here. Shawal Anwar finally coughs it up, and Gaiylang will try and break quickly. Needs some support to Zekas Chua. He's going to get it, but not by judgment, more by luck, as helping him out was Ferdhouse, and there's going to be a foul against Fortunata, who's like a bit of a bull up front, isn't he? He's a physical presence, just as I'm sure if we see him later, Silvano Convalius will be. Water break time as we have played 24.5 minutes and a chance to look back at these 2 goals, Roshan, and because we didn't have the replays in the game, I'll let you talk us through them, starting with the horror show from a Hougang point of view, opener for Geylang.
Well, yeah, the first one I think from Mukundan was just a situation where I think he's completely just misjudged the flight of the ball in that situation. Just trickled in towards the far post there. Probably thought he was going out of play. But it's good pressing from Geylang. I mean, they forced the error here. They win it off Shawal. Good strong play out on this right-hand side by Van Huysen. Lovely bit of skill. And then, I mean, he scuffs his shot, really, Amy. He's just got enough momentum on it to go past Mukundan in goal. And to their credit, I mean, they responded well enough, Hougang, I mean, to get themselves back into this game. Have a look at that ball from Farhan Zulkifli into Tomoyuki Doi. Keeps his composure, picks his spot, finds the far post, gets his first goal for his brand new side.
Just seen that goal again, the first one there, the Gaiylang strike. I just think he got his angles wrong there. I mean, it's maybe the inexperience of not being entirely sure where you are in the goal. It was almost like he was just trying to shepherd it behind for a goal kick, not realising it was going to creep in the near post. But how about that finish from Tomoyuki Doi? That'll be the first of many, I'm sure Clement Teo hopes he'll be scoring in the orange and black of Hougang. The only other goal to tell you about, Taniguchi giving the champions the lead at the moment. They are the only team that are 100%. Long way to go in this, the second round of matches though. Over on that far side, Geylang looking to start the second half of the first half like they did the first half of the first half. I don't like these drinks breaks, Rosh, and it's like 4 quarters of football, of American football now. You'll be telling me you want VAR in the Singapore Premier League next. So look at that from Shawalanwa. Lovely one touch. And he manages to win it back. And it's over the top from Yamazaki. They're through on goal here. The keeper's come and's got to get there, and he does very well indeed, Hyrule. That's sensational keeping. Had to be brave, Roshan.
He certainly did, and he took a huge knock from Idraki as well. Both players not going to give that one up. Such an important challenge from Hyrule as well, the goalkeeper. Quick off his line, got it away.
If he times that a fraction late, it's a cast iron penalty.
As I saw Idraki running down onto that, I thought he was actually just going to get a touch ahead of the goalie and get the penalty. Really good goalkeeping from Hyrule in that situation.
Credit to the Hougang Halls, whose band is striking up a real tune there, drowning out the Geylang Ultras, which doesn't happen too often. Oh, that's a sensational challenge, but didn't take the ball away with it. And they're tottering about on the edge of the area, and another shot from Gilberto Fortunata over the bar. And they're comfortably in front on the shot count now, Hougang. But just can't find one on target.
That's good work once again, the pace of Idraki and the tenacity that he shows here. Getting past the challenge of Harit initially, and a good bit of work, close control from Gilberto, opening up that opportunity for a shot at goal.
Well, we've got to decide on this, Roshan, and again, it's a bit of an interesting interlude. And it's something as obviously a very satisfied guest in Singapore that I've always wondered. Obviously with the Malay names, the tendency is to use the first name as the given name when you're singing a football, as opposed to, you know, English footballers where you'd use the surname. What do we do with Brazilians? Gilberto Fortunato, it's Fortunato, isn't it? Or are we going with Gilberto? Because I know some Brazilians, don't they, do go by their given first name. He's onside here. Speak of the devil, he's through on goal. Gilberto Fortunato, but the cheat is in front, and he just took a heavy touch at the wrong time.
Yeah, again, it's another opportunity for Hougang where they get in behind that Geylang defense. This gap's opening up. It's a wonderful quick ball. Again, Darren Tay just gets dragged out of position there. Gilberto with that run across his central defender. Again, he's big, he's strong, but he doesn't quite have that acceleration to get away from that last line, does he? I think he's got Gilberto on his jersey as well, so either way it works, I'm sure. Maybe if we can, I know we're not allowed to approach these players to have a bit of a chat because of restrictions in terms of the zones. But if we can, might be worth asking him. Yeah,
I'll send him a
go
DM.
for it.
Another corner, good delivery. Comes out to the edge of the area where they've managed to retain possession well. Zulkifli deflected, but it'll still find a black and orange shirt and Tomoyuki Doi, and that's a teasing cross that was met by Darren Tay. Still work to do defensively here. Shawalanwa had it taken off his toes, and Geylang, they're getting the job done, but it's not looking convincing defensively, is it, at the moment, Roshan?
No, it isn't. It's just hanging in there at the moment. It's Hougang looking like the much better side, playing at a really good tempo, looking to try and force those errors, preventing Geylang from playing those short passes out the back. Great work by Yamazaki in central midfield, but has he taken on one too many? No, he's done really well to hang on to the ball.
He lost the ball twice in that run and still managed to get it back. Here's Zulkifli, Shawalanwa, Hougang looking in the better side here at the minute, but they've got to make the pressure count as they try and take the lead, having gone behind early through the Amy Rekha long-range effort that somehow Mukundan lets squeeze inside his post. They responded moments later with Tomoyuki Doi's first of the season. And this is the only game so far that's seen 2 goals tonight. Strong challenges becoming a feature of this game. We haven't seen any yellow cards yet. I venture to suggest that that won't be the situation come the 90 minutes. They started flying the yellow cards on Sunday when Geylang took on Tanjung Pagar just before half-time.
Well, it's nice to see a couple of challenges coming in. Van Huysen showing there that he's not going to be shirking any challenges up against Zakibaliev.
My friends at Genius Stats just informing you that Hougang lead the corner count by 5-1, but the only stat that really matters is the one in the top left-hand corner of your screen, and it shows you at the moment it's on as even. So Kifli's really impressing. They're doing what they like down this left-hand side. Tomoyuki Doi, Shawalanwa's going to be onside. Fortunato waits in the middle. Can Gilberto get on the end of it? Shawalanwa looking for Gilberto, too high for him, but it wasn't too high for the man running in. That was Idraki, and Geylang survive again.
Oh, I think he's headed that into Gilberto Idraki. Perhaps should have gone for goal there. But again, that issue for Geylang here is with Darren moving infield, and again, there was a space for Hougang to make use of down at Geylang's right-hand side.
Fine, Zulkifli's having a real game here at both ends of the park. making a real nuisance of himself. But there's a big steal, wonderfully stolen by Lionel Tan in a very advanced position by Lionel standards. As Hougang starting to get a bit bold and adventurous here, starting to mix things up. Almost like they're playing 3 at the back because they're not that concerned at the minute of what Geylang can do to them, Roshan.
Well, look, he's nice and confident, comfortable on the ball. He's just Fabian Kwok just stepping into defense whenever one of his central defenders just does step out. On that occasion was Lionel getting forward.
First time ball by Shawalamwa looking for Fortunata. They want a penalty there. Well, certainly the Hougang bench does. I don't think the players concurred with the coaching staff screaming at referee Nathan Chan there.
No, I think that was a clean challenge, Patrick. A good defending by Faisal. Again, sometimes with when you're up against a striker like that who's keen to use his physicality, then you got to make sure you're not stuck in too tight towards him. Sometimes you just let him have the ball a little bit, work with the spaces. Faisal's got the advantage in terms of the pace advantage as he has over Gilberto. You just see it there, the space down the right-hand side. His way into Shawal, puts in a much better cross. Idraki, and he heads it back in towards Gilberto.
It's essentially cleared off the line by his own man.
Yeah.
Referee wants that taken again. It'll be Darren Tay with the throw. Zikos Chua, and it's really an indication of just how Gaiylang are struggling to get forward and how deep Zikos Chua is playing at times. And you have to think the way this is going, I know he's obviously not had to introduce him as early as he had to do Moresche on Sunday, but if you've got Silvano Convalius on the bench, yes, the pitch is obviously playing heavy and you maybe aren't entirely sure of his fitness, but you're going to give him a run out at some point in this game, aren't you, Roshan?
Yeah, again, I don't think he ideally in an ideal world would have wanted Mateus Moresche to come in as early as he did in that game against Tanjung Pagar United, but it worked out well. Unfortunately for Barry Maguire, and unfortunate for the rest of us because we're not going to be seeing his qualities for a while. Hopefully he'll be able to recover nicely.
Best wishes to Barry Maguire, out for the first round of matches with that hamstring problem. When he went down initially, he was in such pain you thought it might have been a knee, and those dreaded 3 letters ACL came into my mind, but I'm sure as frustrating as it is, the hamstring probably easier to overcome than a knee issue, albeit you have to be careful with it. Incidentally, spoke to Norali before the match, and he was saying that, yes, you're right, Roshan, he didn't want to play Moresche, and he said Moresche was out on his feet in the closing stages, which makes the fact he got that late winner all the more impressive. Amy Reka hits the back inadvertently of Zulkifli. And Zulkifli, for me, is having an absolute standout here. Shawalamwa, wonderful control from the number 10, and Shawalamwa with the outside of the boot. That would have been, in these conditions, an Oscar-worthy pass. And that's from Zikos Chua, going to go straight through to Makundan, who luckily from a Hougang point of view has not had any saves to really make since the howler that gifted the league to the Eagles.
Well, he's had good protection in front of him. They've been working very well as a unit, Hougang, defensively pressing together. Both the defensive midfield lines all very close to each other and able to apply pressure on the ball. And then you've got players in space covering as well as Faisal. Can he get across? It's well defended by Faisal Roslan there.
The way I'm looking at this at the moment, Roshan, it seems to me that Hougang have got more pace than Geylang. Geylang aren't slouches by any stretch, but Zulkifli showing pace. Shawalamwa, we know, I mean, he's the kind of player that seems to, most players lose pace with age, don't they? He seems to be maintaining it brilliantly.
Well, there's plenty of pace in that attacking line of Hougang, especially down the flanks. You've got Farhan from left back getting forward. You've got Shawal as well. And then on the other side, you've got Idraki. And we've seen him turn on the afterburners a little bit, accelerate past a couple of defenders out on that right-hand side. But this seems to be an area that they're obviously targeting, that space in behind Darren Tate. Does tend to get dragged into those central positions a little bit too much.
Clumsy push in the back from Amy that's going to give Hougang a set piece, which Lionel Tan takes quickly, but goes back before he goes forwards. Maxat, who was a bit part player in the AIA Singapore Premier League last season, looks to be playing a more prominent role this campaign. Obviously, they've lost Zach Anderson, who departed just before the end of the season, in which was a conduit really to Hougang's form falling apart towards the end of the campaign. Geylang annihilated them in the first half, and then when they met at OTH, look at this, skipping and dancing is Idraki. Can the cross find Tomoyuki Doi? It can, and the header's just past the post. What a run from Idraki.
They should be in the lead here, Hougang, just based on the quality of the chances that they've created. Chance quality has been excellent. And again, it's great work from Idraki. It's a loose pass by Isdin initially in midfield. It gets picked up here by Idraki himself. Skips past Isdin easily and then past Harit. It's a delightful ball played into Tomiyuki Doi as well. Can't quite direct it towards goal. They're looking really good, nice and sharp, this Hougang side.
Latest scores from around the grounds: Balestier Calcer 0, Tampines Rovers 0 at Topayo. Tanjung Pagar United 0, Lion City Sailors. How about that? The Sailors being kept scoreless through 36.5 minutes of football by Tanjung Pagar United, who haven't won a game in the Singapore Premier League for something like, what is it, 2,500 days? I did the maths for that. Let me consult my notes from the weekend. It's now 2,337 days since they last won a game in the AIA Singapore Premier League. Scoreless at Jurong East, and Albrecht Nagata, the only other goal tonight so far has come at Jalan Besar, where Taniguchi has given the champs the lead against the Young Lions. Are you surprised that Tanjung Pagar are holding the Lion City Sailors? I'm a huge fan of what Hassan Jalani and Noel Alam Shah are doing. They've got a team ethic there. You know, even with the new signings, they aren't blessed with the same kind of strength and depth as other sides, but boy, have they got a team ethic and a team spirit there.
Well, they certainly do, and they made things difficult at times for Geylang in that first game. We know defensively they're going to be working very hard, setting up as in a back five and defending quite deep, not necessarily wanting to press the opposition, and looking to try and make their most in those counter-attacking situations and in those set B situations. We saw them take advantage of that, scoring the equalizer against Geylang with a cross coming into the box. They had 3 men at the back post for that overload. But it's going to be tough. I mean, it'll be interesting to see them sort of take that game to that next level. You know, it's all well and good making it difficult for teams to break you down and to beat you, but then comes that other side, and it's part of your development as a team, that attacking aspect of your game.
I think we're all looking forward to seeing what impact Bring Back the Raw has, and we're all going to try and get fully behind it. I think it's our responsibility as football fans in Singapore to really get behind these initiatives, but I'd like to make a suggestion. Can we please have, starting that Bring Back the Raw, a Singapore winner of this AIA Singapore Premier League? Maxat shows good pace to get it back from Mukunda, who's got a test here, and it's a test which he passes well. Got good distance with the clearance. Albrecht Nagata have had a goal ruled out at Jalan Besar. Still Young Lions nil, Albrecht Nagata 1. Good to see Mukundan get a positive touch there, Roche.
Yeah, it was good for him, and good for his confidence as well. I mean, it was zipped into him by Zaki Baliev, and it had to be zipped into him because of the surface that we're playing on. You don't want to get caught up if you are playing a back pass towards your goalkeeper. Nice positive first touch by Mukundan, and then not taking any chances, just smacking it away.
That's not a bad piece of distribution either, is it? Found Cheryl Ambar, who had a bit of time in space, but the back flicks one trick too many, and Istin tries to release them through the middle. Zekas Stewart could get there, the keeper does well, but it's to a green shirt. Can they finish off here? Chris Van Heusen! Oh, what a wonderful save! I think Mukundan got a touch on that, Roche, and if he hasn't prevented what would have been a certain goal, he's got a long way to redeeming himself after that howler in the early stages.
Yeah, we initially had to just come out and be positive here to clear the ball off the line. Defense just getting caught out there in that situation. A bit the spaces between the centre backs a little bit too big, and then you didn't have that second defensive line of the midfield dropping in.
Well, it wasn't hit back with much pace from Van Heusen, but the positioning of the two players who were scrambling back to the line makes me believe that Mukunda needed to get that touch, and get that touch he did. Geylang, though, do come up with a corner, just their second of the game. They've been under pressure for the majority of the first 40 minutes. They've already led once against the run of play, and that's a strong punch from Mukunda. Danger not entirely cleared yet, though. Ball comes in from Istin.
That's good from Mukundan. I mean, so far it looks like he's reacted well to that concession of that early goal. And this is what you want to see from your players. Yes, you made a mistake, fine, but move on. Can we move on? Can we pick up from that? Then we've seen some nice, confident goalkeeping from Mukundan. But what Hougang has done really well as well in this first half is not allow Isdin to run and dictate the game for Geylang from those central midfield positions.
Isdin. From range, Isdin's taking a deflection. Mukundan, he wasn't going to take his eyes off that one, Roshan, bearing in mind what happened earlier, was he?
There's almost a situation, and I said, you know, he looks nice and confident since his earlier error, but every time that ball gets in behind, you feel a little bit concerned for him.
Here's Isdin. Isdin's finding some space. He's been quiet through the first half hour, Isdin, but he's gradually playing a part in this game, and Isdin's got the quality. Amy Redger's got the poise, and Mukunda with another save. And he manages to grab it at the second attempt. Well, talk about going a long way to redeeming yourself, because Obviously, at the end of each game, we give these players all now the One Play Sports Power Rankings, and he's doing a good way, Mukundan, to making that rating go up a bit higher after that howler early on. Business picking up here, Roshan, right?
Yeah, tempo's picking up again after just a little bit of a lull. But look, again, wonderful save by Mukundan. I think there was a bit of a foul there, you know, before the shot came in. Referee didn't give it, and Clement Teo is having a go at the fourth official here. Nice to see from Mukundan there again. At full stretch there, keeping that one out.
Istin involved as the ball comes through. They were trying to find Zikos Chua, but that's well anticipated by Lionel Tan, who goes the extra mile by not conceding the corner. Well, Fortunata was up strong for that header. Lovely touch from Tomoyuki Doi, and they're in business down the right-hand side. Shawalama in the middle, but that is a real waste. Back in the area, had to be spot on with that challenge, did Darren Tate. Otherwise, it was penalty central, and they've only got a throw to show for this Hougang.
That was Gilberto once again looking to use his strength just to win the ball off. The Geylang player in central midfield there was Firdaus on this occasion. Good drive in there, good challenge by Darren Tate to get that one away from danger. Again, it's just a little bit of decision making once they do get in behind from Hougang in those wider positions. Choosing to go with the wrong option. Hidraki, that early ball, just could have tried to hit Shawal towards the back post. Had a couple of players on the overload there.
Hidraki continues to look a threat, doesn't he, down the right? Hidraki down the right, Shawal Anwar down the left. They look a threat down both flanks. Well, that was a heavy touch, and Amy Reka manages to capitalise on that heavy touch from Farhan Zulkifli. It's just like that, we've ticked past 43 minutes, and we said this as we approached half-time in the game at Jalan on Saturday, Roshan. It's flown by, hasn't it? It's been interesting stuff.
Such a good first half of football here between these two sides. Really good intensity and tempo to the game.
Zulkifli, Farhan launches that into the area where Yuki Ichikawa manages to win it, but they're just not convincing, clearing at the second phase at times, Gaiylang, and it's pushed out for a throw to Hougang midway inside enemy territory.
I think it's credit to the teams and the players as well. I mean, from all the games that I've watched so far in the SPL, there's been really good tempo to all the games.
Oh, great cross. Shawalama was waiting, and Darren Tay did the right thing.
Difficult as well in that situation. He was under a bit of pressure. Had Tomoyuki Doi just looking to try and get ahead of him in towards that ball. Lovely delivery by Hidraki, facing his own goal as well, Darren. Had to get his header spot on in that situation.
It's only 4 yards out, wasn't he, in front of his own goal. We've seen in recent times all over the world own goal score from that position. Tomoyuki Doi's over to take the corner. Plenty of movement in the box from the orange and black. Gilberto Fortunato is one of those moving. And it's finally thumped away by Darren Tay. One back by Fortunato. Yamazaki into the breadbasket of Hyrule. Yeah, I think that's a good point you make, because obviously these teams have not had conventional pre-season, only one pre-season friendly apiece, I think. They've been pre-season training a while, to give you the other side of the argument, but I think there's no question, in a strange way, the disrupted nature of last year seems to have given the club some surplus clash. They've obviously invested that, and it's given all the players across the division a real lift, and it seems to have a much more competitive feel to it, certainly than in recent years. The Singapore Premier League, as our fourth official confirms, there'll be 2 minutes of time added on, Moresche.
Yeah, again, I mean, we'll just have a look at how this pans out for Geylang.
Headed away by Maxat, who's been relatively solid to this point, and then belted away even further by Farhan. Geylang still pick it up though. Darren Tay and Shawalama are out for a throw.
I mean, to come back to your point about the fitness and perhaps a lack of match sharpness and intensity, and that was something that lots of people were talking about in terms of, you know, will it take some time for these teams to get going, not play too many friendlies.
To the byline, can they keep this in? No, they can't. Carry on, Rosh.
So it's almost not enough time to get a word in, Patrick. It's just end-to-end stuff really over here. But yeah, just the feeling that you know, it might take a bit of time for some of these teams to get going in terms of taking these first few matches, first few competitive matches, almost as friendlies in that sense, in terms of building up your match fitness and your match sharpness. And you've mentioned that very long pre-season that they've had.
Long but not intense.
It can be difficult,
yeah,
you know, for these coaches to sort of deal with in terms of your planning, in terms of how you you treat workload for these players as well, in terms of having that sort of start date to work with, and you're not quite sure when it's going to happen or when it's going to come, and you're building towards that. So
it's not just that.
It's a credit to these players. I mean, that they've come out and do it. Will we see them suffer a little bit as the season goes on? Time will tell.
Don't forget, it's a long pre-season as Mereka's going to win a free kick right on the edge of the box. The foul from Farhan Zulkifli. Yeah, don't forget, but that long pre-season, the large sways of the first half of it, they were only allowed to train in small groups of 3 and 4. There was no contact, no practice matches. So yes, they've been keeping in trim and keeping their eye in, but nothing beats, as I'm sure you'll testify, Roshan.
Yeah, it's not the same.
The hurly-burly of a full match situation. Now, Van Heusen, who scored direct from a free kick in this half of the field last season in this fixture. On that occasion, I don't think Kairounen ever recovered from those 2 goals he conceded that afternoon. Here at night, Mukundan has already made one crucial mistake that led to Geylang taking the lead, and right on half-time, this would be a killer blow. Van Heusen can swing this round the wall with that cultured left foot of his. Wonderful camera angle, because if he hits this on a sweet spot, he's got spoilers in the wall as well. I think you'll find that Yuki Ichikawa is going to be getting out of dodge very quickly to see if Van Heusen can follow that trajectory. Van Heusen didn't really get the power or the direction on it, Roshan.
No, I didn't connect with that as well as he would have liked, but he's got an opportunity here.
And they will get a corner where we've already played 30 seconds over the 2 minutes of time to be added on. And you know what it's like, referees love to see the ball in the air from a goalkeeper's clearance or the ball in the middle of the park to blow for half-time. So there'll be one more piece of defending to do. They've won their 3rd corner of the game. Hougang have had 6, haven't managed to score from any of them. This will be a killer blow for Hougang, who've arguably been the better side throughout this first half. And they will go into half-time all square. Geylang taking the lead through Mereka's speculative shot, which inexplicably Mukundan let slip through. We didn't even let it slip, we just let it go into the net after 4 minutes, but 6 minutes later, an exquisite finish from Tomoyuki Doi after Geylang were caught sleeping defensively. 1-1 sets us up nicely for the second stanza, Rosh.
Yeah, really good first half. Great intensity between these two, and Hougang perhaps the better side with slightly better opportunities. Perhaps they'll be feeling they should be going into the break, at least in the lead here, with the opportunities that they've had.
1-1 at the break. More from Roshan Ryan, the roundup from the goals and the other games, and we come back. Stay with us on Wednesday Night Football in the AIA Singapore Premier League.
And in Singapore, we have more than 100,000 members on AIA Vitality. Members live healthier by knowing their health through online health assessments and screenings. They improve their health by logging exercises and enjoying the rewards to keep them going. And indeed, members are making improvements in their health. Even the vitality age gap has narrowed to less than a year. Best of all, you earn points for every activity. The higher your status, the greater the rewards, including up to 15% off insurance premium on selected AIA plans. To keep you going, there is the weekly fitness challenge with personalized targets to help pace and improve your fitness. When you complete the challenge, you get a spin on the Vitality Wheel to earn Vitality Coins, which you can use at the marketplace. That's not all. You also earn AIA Vitality Points for completing these activities. And very soon, you'll be on your way to Platinum status. And we sweeten the deal further with many exciting partner benefits that you can enjoy. With AIA Vitality, nothing gets better than a healthier you. So get onto AIA Vitality today because your health is every choice you make.
Welcome back live to the Hougang Stadium. At the break, one apiece between the Cheetahs and the Eagles. Both goals coming early on, but no shortage of incident and action after Tomoyuki Doi levelled it up in the 10th minute. We'll start in the 4th minute with this opening goal. They lost it, well, Shaolanwa lost it. Mereka, a speculative shot, and I can only think he thought it was spilling wide. That's all I can think, Roshan. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think he completely misjudges that, Mukundan. Of course, he does. But it's great work by Geylang just to force the error here in that situation. Quick feed by Amy, but he completely scuffed that shot. The only thing I can think of is does it take a bit of a bobble off the penalty spot? But still, it's difficult to defend Mukundan in that situation, really. It's just a credit to him and to his side that they responded well.
Yes, they certainly did, and that was a great through ball. Dissected the centre of the defence. Tomoyuki Doi latching on to the ball from Farhan Zulkifli, who, for me, arguably the best player on the pitch in the first half. Tomoyuki Doi, great left foot finish, 11 goals last season, his first this, and that was well on after 10 minutes. And the only thing that looked certain at that point, Roshan, is that we get more goals in the first half. It wasn't to be, but there were plenty of chances.
Well, Geylang were looking for that free kick there. You had see the linesman's flagging in that situation. Referee decides to play on, and Idraki had a very sharp first half. I think linesman was actually flagging for a handball. Referee says, never mind, play on. It's dropped towards Hougang. Cut back into Gilberto, who's been lively as well in those forward positions, showing good strength on this occasion. Goalkeeper getting it over the bar.
Bus mentioned, actually, Nathan Chan, I think you're right. I think the assistant referee was flagging a handball, and that was a wonderful advantage that Nathan Chan played there. That was another chance, arguably, the closest they came other than the goal. They headed down from Idraki into the path of Fortunata.
Yeah, again, I mean, look, it just comes too quickly into Gilberto. It's headed with plenty of power. Just want to, if you're going to try and hit it back into your striker there, just want a light glance into it, back into him. Unfortunately, there's too much power into Gilberto. He couldn't quite control it, and the chance was gone.
I'm getting obsessed now with whether we call Gilberto or Gilberto Fortunata. At Arsenal, did they call Gilberto or Silva?
Yeah.
I think they probably called him Gilberto, didn't they? I'm going to lose that argument, I can see it. Meanwhile, Idraki, who, again, a bit like Zulkifli down the left, was driving down the right, was creating acres of chances. But as the first half came to a close, arguably it was Gaiylang who started to get the best of it. And it was up to that man Mukundan on more than one occasion to redeem himself.
Yeah, he had to. Again, he was quick off his line here just to snuff out that little bit of danger. It broke down in midfield. Isdin with that quick, clever ball played in behind the defense. Good starting position by Mukundan and gets himself back. Almost fell over in that situation. Good that he kept his balance and kept the side in it.
So Christian usually been quite quiet to that point. Here's Mereka again, trying his luck in very similar circumstances to the first goal. This time I think it took a slight deflection, maybe even on the way through, but nevertheless Mukundan wasn't going to make the same mistake twice, and that was well parried away. Yeah,
it was good work by Mukundan once again. I think Clementino was off his bench here saying there should have been a free kick there. There was a tug on Yamazaki's jersey in that situation, but the referee decided to play on, and good save by Mukundan. Here he is once again. Yamazaki with that shot from range, easily taken by Hyrule though, but he's had a good game in central midfield, just trying to dictate the play for Hougang in those positions.
And here is the scene after some heavy rain in the late afternoon. Delighted to say the skies have cleared in the pitch. Credit to the ground staff here at Hougang. It doesn't look the prettiest, but with a few exceptions, it seems to be playing just about okay. You can see 3 shots on target apiece. Hougang, no question, having the better of it. Around about 55 to 45, they're winning the percentage battle, and no cards so far. The latest scores from around the grounds on this wonderful Wednesday, the first quadruple header of the season. Here, of course, 1-1 between the Cheetahs and the Eagles. It's goalless between the Tigers and the Stags at Topayo. Goalless too at Jurong East. The Jaguars holding out the Sailors at this point. The only team that are leading at half-time are the team that are currently top of the table on goal difference, and if it stays like this, they'll be topped by more than goal difference at the end of the night. Albrecht Nagata, Taniguchi, I should say, leading the Young Lions by 1-0. Stay with us, second half, and more to come from Roche and Rahe as we bring you this Wednesday night of action in the AIA Singapore Premier League. So there's the scene on the Hougang bench, but it's the Geylang bench where all the activity is at half-time. And big news here, we're about to see a man that carried all before him in Indonesia in 2017, the 33-year-old Dutchman who was somewhat of a shock signing when it was announced just days ago, really, just over a couple of weeks ago, that he was going to be joining Geylang International. You're about to see Silvano Convalius for the first time in a Geylang shirt, and you're already familiar, of course, with the man that will come on with him. Moresche, who got a brace in the 2-1 win against Tanjung Pagar. There you can see them just in your shot now. And Roshan, this is a very positive move from Noor Ali. I think he wants to take this game by the scruff of the neck and try and turn the tide that, for large parts of that first half, was against them.
This should certainly turn things around for them in those forward positions. They've got now a good focal point hit in Convalius, and they've got Matthias who can play just in behind the opposition midfield lines. This is going to give Hougang something to think about in the second half. It's going to be an interesting setup tactically. Let's see how those defenders deal with it, because for the most part in their first half, Lionel and Zakibaliev didn't seem to be too troubled by Geylang's attack, but this is obviously going to add make a big difference to Geylang's front line.
It certainly is, and it's two of the youngsters that are going off. Zekas Chua replaced by Convalius, and Elijah Lim, who was quite quiet for that first half, is replaced by Moresche. So, Geylang, a new look Geylang with a double change. Remember the impact Moresche had when he came on inside the first 10 minutes against Tanjung Pagar on Sunday, and if Nurali gets double the reaction with two marquee signings coming on for the second 45, he'll be more than happy, because I think we're in agreement, Roshan, they were second best for that first half, even though they ended the half strongly, and all eyes now on what kind of touch Silvano Convalius has. And that really, when you look down the benches for the two clubs tonight, no disrespect to Torcha Sharalishak, who's a long-standing superstar of Singapore football, that is abundantly clear that Geylang had the stronger bench.
Yeah, I mean, when you can bring two of your foreign signings in, you expect your foreign players to give you that extra level of play, to step your...
So, also must mention the referee, because we give them plenty of stick when they don't have good games, but Nathan Chan has had a very good game. He's let the game flow, not gone to the whistle, and it's absolutely necessary. And as Nurali takes a seat, he'll be pleased that none of his players, as will Clement Tio be pleased that none of his players are treading a disciplinary typewrite. No yellow cards in that first half either.
Yeah, you're right to point out the referee. He's let a couple of things flow. He hasn't pulled it up when he's over here. And we should see a fired-up Silvano for this Geylang international side.
Fires Salah linking up well with Idraki, and they'll win a corner out of it. I think, I mean, you are quite right to point that out, but I think he's been caught up in a few contract wrangles and things behind the scenes. So it's not like he's been playing 34 games, then scoring 34 goals, then playing 34 games and scoring none. He's just not had that much football. So is that hopefully save some energy reserves for him to enjoy the twilight of his career here, or is he over the hill? We'll probably find out, starting in the next 44 and a bit minutes. Tomoyuki Doi's corner, decent delivery, heads up, and it is well wide. They want another corner, but they won't get one. Assistant referee on this near side is indicating a goal kick. Do you expect to see any Clement Tio reaction to that double change from his bench?
Well, I think at the moment it's going well, as you see Zakibaliev just with that header. Claims that he took a deflection on its way out. He's not afraid to go in for it, is he? I mean, a very sort of old school sort of defender in that sense. Just goes barging into challenges. Still a very young centre-back as well. He's, what I've seen has been really encouraging in terms of developing that other side of his game.
Moresche backing into Maxat. That's going to be a physical battle, and Moresche comes out on top this time. And again, good officiating. Nathan Chan lets the game flow, and Geylang might be grateful because it's with Amy on the far side. Was that handball? Was that handball? They're screaming in the director's box of Geylang for handball. I don't think they're going to get it. They'll have to make do with a consolation prize of a corner. Although, having said that, the referee, I'm convinced, you know, the referee, I think, was speaking to that assistant referee via his earpiece over on that far side. These officials are wearing earpieces, right? Yeah. He definitely went to his ear to check that.
Yep. They're certainly communicating with each other, but
let's have a look.
Look, as it comes across, I think his arm's out away from his body here. Yeah, that's a handball for me.
He's outside the area.
He's outside the box. It would have been a free kick outside the area, but that's a handball.
It's not natural. I look forward to reading your thesis on the evolution of the handball rule. It could be university degrees, and a bit like the offside rule. Corner to Geylang. One corner apiece at the start of this second half. That's headed away by Lionel Tan. This time for a throw rather than a corner. We have an early goal in the second half at Jurong East. Tanjung Pagar United 0. The Lion City Sailors 1. The Sailors make the breakthrough early in the second stanza. Still goalless at Topayo. Balestier Calsa 0. Tampines Rovers 0. Young Lions 0. Albrechts Nagata 1. So Geylang enjoying a bit of pressure. We haven't really seen Convalius yet. What an introduction to Singaporean football. There's his first touch. It's a header that dribbles through to Makundan. Yes, as somebody told Silvano Convalius, it's not really about rainy Wednesday nights at Hougang. He'll have some sunny Sunday afternoons at our Tampines sub. Meanwhile, up the other end, chance for Gilberto. And there might be a penalty shout here, and there is. He's given it. Geylang incensed. This will take some figuring out. It looked at first glance soft, but Nathan Chan did not hesitate. Roshan, your thoughts?
Oof, I think there's a bit of a shove in there from Harriet. He panics a little bit. There is an arm. I can see that quite clearly from here. Initially, I thought it wasn't a penalty, but on that replay, I think it's a credit again to the referee. I mean, he's got to do this in real time. He sees that shove in the back in real time. I thought it wasn't a penalty, but when I look at that replay, Harriet's got his arm into the back of Gilberto. And of course, you know, he's clever to go down there, but there is an arm in the back that's given a referee an excuse to go and blow for the penalty, and he's quite right.
I concur, Roshan. I think the referee deserves full marks there. I mean, it's soft, but there was a foul in the box, as simple as that. Harith Kanadi has a push. If you have a push like that, you're going to concede the penalty. Tomoyuki Doi, if he scores this, he'll be on a hat-trick. And Geylang, with their two marquee signings on at the start of the second half, might now have to haul their team back from behind. Tomoyuki Doi up against Hyrule. Don't think we've had a missed penalty so far this season. Tomoyuki Doi to put the cheaters in front, having trailed early. Great finish! Hyrule can't stop it. And it's Hougang 2, Geylang International 1. And they've recovered brilliantly, the cheaters, and are 40 minutes away from their first win of the season and only their third win here in over a year.
Yeah, you read that well, Hyrule. The goalkeeper, he went the right way, just snuck underneath him. There's too much power in that penalty from Tomoyuki Doi, just for Hyrule to keep out off goal. It's his second of the night. But I guess on the balance of play, you'd have to say Hougang deserved that lead. I mean, they've created the better chances in this match. In that first half, they had several opportunities to add to their tally. There he goes. Hyrule so close to the goalkeeper. That's feel for him a little bit. There's enough power from Tomoyuki Doi just to get that past Hyrule.
Well, last season's second top scorer, Tomoyuki Doi's got a brace here. Last season's top scorer has got a goal tonight at Jurong East. Stipe Plaza, about 2 minutes after the break, makes it Brazil United 0. The Lion City Sailors 1. And as mentioned, I think I mentioned this to you earlier, Albrechts Nagata have doubled their lead at Jalan Besar. And it's Makoto Ito that's made it 2-0. So the goal starting to flow in after a relatively quiet, with the exception of this game, of course, start to the goal scoring this evening. That goal couldn't have come at a worse time, really, in terms of the momentum that Noor Ali had hoped to inject with that double change. More goals in this game for you, Roshan?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You know, we'll start to see players tire off a little bit. And we've seen a few mistakes as well already happen in this one. And Hougang look like they're still going for it here. You know, there hasn't been a let-off in their intensity of play. And we've seen only Moresche so far get involved a little bit. The difficult header from Convalius early on as well to generate any power in. There's still plenty of time for Geylang to get themselves big into this one, but at the moment it's Hougang looking really good.
Well, whatever Clement Teo said at half-time, it's done the trick, because they ended the first half under a little bit of pressure. Already then brought on the big guns of Moresche and Convalius, and you thought, well, maybe this is where Geylang take it by the scruff of the neck. It's not turned out that way. And of course, that penalty coming just 2 minutes after they'd had, well, in the end didn't turn out to be a penalty shout, but a free kick on the edge of the area shout for handball that was waved away by Nathan Chan, who so far is putting in a very impressive performance, the official. Hougang looking to open up an even greater buffer here. Yamazaki, he can deliver a set piece, delivers it well, headed away by the men in green, but not very far. Is he offside there? No, he wasn't. Decent cross. Can they get on the end of it? No, they can't. Might come out. That's a Fabian Kwok, who's snapshot didn't have enough purpose. Robust sliding challenge by
that was Faiz coming across.
Yeah,
Faiz Saleh coming across.
You got to time those spot on in these conditions, haven't you?
Yeah, really well, just to thwart the counter attack from Geylang.
Well, this is how good you are, Roshan.
Thank you.
I asked you midway through the first half about well, just towards the end of the first half, about the 0-0 scoreline between Brazil United and the Lion City Sailors. You said, well, yeah, it's all very well said, it's 0-0 now, but they'll be tired and be playing with a back 5, and well, they've scored twice in the opening 5 minutes of the second half, the Sailors. So it looks like they're close to putting that game to bed. They lead 2-0 now, the big spending Lion City Sailors.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you've got 90 minutes to win a game, so sometimes after the first 45, it's 0-0 or whatever it is. Not necessary to panic in those situations, especially if you know you're a side like the Sailors who've got that quality to work away and try and just wear that Tanjong Pagar defence down.
I just cast in my mind back, it may even have been the first game of last season for the Sailors. Was it 1-1 at Jurong East? I was at that game.
It's a while ago, but there was a draw.
Yeah, 1-1 because Jan Motta took the lead for Tanjong Pagar United in that game, and then Andy Pangeli equalised just before half-time. Andy Pangeli, remember him? He'll come down as the shortest-lived lead striker, I should think, in the Lion City Sailors history. He went back to Australia, where I think he might be lining up with Peninsula Power. I'm not sure. Harith Kanadi, another push, but this time he's got away with it, and Clement Teo's furious. He's small in stature, but big in fight is Harith Kanadi, isn't he, Roshan?
Yeah, and I like him. I mean, I know he gave the penalty away, but he's still a good, talented young player. Plays a very good intensity, and despite his size there, he's willing to put himself about and be an attacking threat as well. Carries the ball forward with pace and energy. Song
Young, second of the season, doubles the lead for the Lion City Sailors, and now the Stags. Well, the last I checked, they'd scored. Yes, Tampines Rovers have taken the lead at Topayo against Balestier Khalsa, so every away team winning apart from Geylang, where they trail 2-1. Nathan Chan's getting the card out here. Now, what colour is it? Will be yellow. First card of the piece, and it will be shown to a cheater.
Farhan, I think.
Yeah, Farhan goes across, Farhan Zulkifli, to check the fallen eagle is okay, but he now walks the tightrope. Talk us through this challenge.
Yeah, I mean, look, the referee's right there and he spots it. It studs into the ankle of Amy. Although Geylang were a little bit unhappy, they wanted the referee to play on in that situation.
I think, bearing in mind what looked a serious injury initially, Nathan Chan's within his rights to blow the whistle there. What it has done is preventing Hougang from resting easy. Geylang are presented with a long-range set-piece opportunity. Delivery needs to be good here. Is Dean? Oh, Silvano Convelius slipped at a very inopportune moment, but they're playing themselves almost into trouble there. Looked like Maxat wanted to run from one end of the pitch to the other with ball at feet. Now Harith Kanadi's got to be careful, bearing in mind the trials and tribulations the goalkeeper had at that end in the first half, and all that Hyrule can do is send it out for a throw.
Well, he's gone down there. Idraki pressing the ball. I think they're going to look to make a change here with Hafiz Sujat getting ready to come on.
I can't imagine you wearing that full-on tight experience when you were a player. Roshan, were you a full-tighted player when you were playing? Because I can see that he's about to come on, Hafiz Abu Said, fully tighted.
Well, I think in certain situations there are also cultural issues that we'll have to respect and look at. But no, I was never sort of fully tighted. I felt warm in
is that a cultural issue then with these boys when they want to wear tights like that? Would that be cultural? No, you can't speak for Hafiz.
Well, I can't. I mean, there could be a, you know, something along those lines.
I know certainly in women's football that
where to cover certain.
Yes, I know. Obviously, in women's football that's certainly the case. I wasn't aware, I must confess, that it was the issue covering legs for males in football. But I should do some research on that and get back to you when we're at Jurong East for Albrecht Nagata Balestier on Sunday. So the change is made. Making way is Idraki, who'd run himself into the ground, I fancy, and Hafiz comes on.
Well, like I said, I wouldn't know if that's the case with Hafiz, but I know with some players like to cover themselves up.
Silvano, ball at feet for the first time, holds the ball up well, finds a bit of space, finds support with Darren Tay, who spreads it out wide. Moresche has hardly had a touch in the 30 minutes since he's come on. He's been conspicuously quiet as the Sailors go 3 up at Jurong East. It's a nice touch from Sharon Anwar, and then there was a little trip there by Harith Kanadi.
Well, sorry, Pat. Just had a bit of a chuckle about that, because you spoke about what did Clement say at halftime to this Hougang United side in terms of team talks, and now you're wondering with the score being 3-0, what happened in the halftime team talk at Tanjong Pagar?
Well, they were. There was a game last season at Bishan, and I seem to remember the Young Lions held them goalless at the break, and I think it might have finished 5-1. Meanwhile, Shawalanwa, yes, Young Lions at Bishan, goalless till half-time, and I remember Jacob Marler scored an own goal 2 minutes into the second half, and then the Sailors ran riot. Meanwhile, that's a wonderful ball to release Van Heusen. Convelius waits in the area, and that's fantastic covering defending by Faiz Salah. Wonderful stuff. Chris Van Heusen will be disappointed, Roshan.
Well, yeah, but it's, again, well-worked move by Geylang. And he just plays off Moresche, just lays it into Isdin. He's made a clever pass into space for Van Heusen to go and chase down. Fortunately for him, couldn't quite find a teammate in the box there, but we want to see a response from Geylang. We want to see them get Mateus Moresche and Silvano Convelius involved a lot more than they have at the moment.
Second quarter of the second half for the Eagles. Swung in, keeper comes, doesn't entirely convince. He's got it away from goal, but still deep inside his own territory. As it's confirmed, Taufik Sapano was the goal scorer that has put Tampines in front against Balestier at Topayo. Headed back in, bit of head tennis going on. Someone's got to put a foot through this, you fancy, otherwise Geylang are going to keep on coming. Oh, he got caught out there, though, that time. That was an accident waiting to happen. And he might be lucky not to be picking up a yellow card for his troubles there, Faisal.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing there, Faisal. I mean, he does well to cut it past the first challenge. He's just put too much on it. Actually could have been an opportunity for Hougang to break forward there.
Stipe Plazamat's got a brace to go to joint top of the goal scoring. I think there's about 8 players on 2 goals for this season now. We've not even played 2 games. Certainly 7. Meanwhile, Fortunata gets the ball to Yamazaki. Now, what can Faiz Salah do here? Looking to get this back, but it's no-nonsense defending from Harith Kanadi, who's really impressed me in his 2 games this season. I know he gave away the penalty as Moresche finally gets the touch and finally gets the through ball. Amy's onside, but he just can't get the right side of Hafiz, who covered well.
Good defending by Hafiz. He gets himself into a good position. Gives himself that nice bit of space to work with in terms of trying to nullify the threat of the pace that Amy had there.
Inside the final half an hour, just like that. And the only goal in the second half was that penalty scored after 50 minutes by Tomoyuki Doi after Harith Kanadi had been adjudged to have fouled Gilberto. I think I'm going to have to cave in and call him Gilberto like you. I just like saying Fortunato.
To go for it, Patrick.
Yes.
Go for it.
I shouldn't indulge myself at the expense of the cohesion of the broadcast.
Here's another one for you to add to the argument. Is it Gilberto or Gilberto?
I think don't get me started on the pronunciations. Meanwhile, that's a deep, deep cross. And again, sensible thinking from Faiz Salah to play it safe and head that behind because he wasn't to know who was lurking in green at the back.
In a deep cross there. I mean, it just got a bit distracted. I mean, you're talking about Gilberto's Fortunato's name as well. It's a good clearance from Faiz Salah again, facing his own goal.
Looks like
to get that one spot on.
Looks like Faris Farhan is gearing himself to come on. He's warming up on his own, which tends to be a sign that his introduction could be imminent. Meanwhile, sprayed in by Van Heusen. Again, that's going to go back behind for another corner. So spare a thought for Chris Van Heusen because he's now going to have to trot to the other side of the field as a designated dead ball specialist for the Eagles.
But this was one of the areas I was looking forward to seeing and noticing Hougang's defensive setup on the corners, because that was a situation where Alberex exploited them. It was a little bit poor, the defensive setup in that game, and they were punished, conceding a goal in that one. And they look to have dealt with the corners a lot better in this game against Geylang, so far anyway. Hopefully I haven't just cursed them.
Van Heusen again, this time the in-swinger. Oh, up there was Yamas. It was Ichikawa, wasn't it, that got the touch, and that for a minute looked like it could go anywhere. But Hougang managed to survive.
Well, commentator's curse, almost in full flow there. Scrambling to get that ball away. Eventually do. Enough bodies on the line. Hougang.
Isdin over the top, that's a teasing ball, and Convelius gets the touch, but just can't keep the ball close enough to him to prevent the gather from Mukundan.
Yeah, that touch has got to stick from Convelius. I'd say there's a bit of rustiness in there in this game. He's recently started training with Geylang, so you can perhaps forgive him for that. The nice run and the ball played into him, in that little bit of space to work with, but he had to make it stick.
Moresche. I don't think you need to look any further for an example of what you were just talking about than that little passage of play where Moresche and Kembali read each other incorrectly.
It'll get better. It'll get better. You know, the teams there'll be more cohesion with the players that they've got in the side, working together a bit more. Still very early days, let's remember.
Well, this is a good response if it stays like this for Clementeo's boys, bearing in mind the disappointment of them fading away last season, a season in which they enjoyed continental football. Silvano Convalius trying his luck a la mereka in the first half, hoping for Mukundun to make a mistake. And I think, again, we mentioned this in the first half, but it's worth another mention. Mukundun recovering from making his debut of the season in those circumstances and conceding a goal like that for 4 minutes. He's hardly put a glove or a foot wrong since then.
Yeah, and his distribution has been pretty good as well. Again, just playing that pass out, an unorthodox drop kick out into Shawal, spaced on his right-hand side.
You were good at these at the weekend. Faris Farhan's coming on. Who are they going to replace?
Well, from what I've seen, it looked like it might be Van Huysen, who could possibly be coming off. Although, let's see.
You were 100% with ease at the weekend, Rosh. And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because with Moresche and Silvano already on, you know, they are very attack-minded. So it's surely got to be one of the front players coming off. And they say he picked up a knock when he went down with the injury, but he still looks quite fresh. There's Moresche. Oh, look at that from Maxa. He's a tough individual, isn't he? Isdin picks it up. Harith Kanadi. Van Huysen. Back to Harith Kanadi. Convalius. Oh, that's... I think it might have taken a deflection. Keeper's got to come and claim this, and does again very well. Mukundun. They're the keeper's nightmares, aren't they, where they hang up like that, but you know, after a deflection, he recovered very well.
He's done really well, Mukundun, just to come out and claim this one. You can see the communication there as well. It's a late challenge from Amy. I mean, a little bit dangerous in those situations, but thankfully Mukundun is okay. But you're right, it could be Amy coming off. I mean, if he has picked up I
think it's got to be either or, right? It's got to be one or the other.
One of the wider players.
So Roshan and myself craning our necks to see down into the fourth official's mini dugout to see what number comes up. Roshan and myself think it's either going to be 7 or 22. We'll be put out of our misery very shortly. Meanwhile, Mukundun continues to impress after that 4th minute mistake. Well, it's going to be Van Huysen. You are spot on again, Roshan Wright. 3 from 3 on substitution predictions this season.
Did hedge my bets a little bit with Amy, but I'm glad I got my first choice correct.
I'll tell you something, there's been a big goal at Topayo. Balestier Kausa, who remember, came from 1 down to lead 3-1 against the Young Lions and then drew 3-3. Taufik Sapano's early goal in the second half has been levelled up. Balestier Kausa 1, Tampines Rovers 1 is the latest score from Topayo. Here, Hougang United had trailed and now lead. Elsewhere, the Sailors are cruising against the Jaguars, leading 3-0 against Tanjung Bagara and Albirex Nagata. 2-0 in front at Jala Bassar with 20 to play against the Young Lions. Here, slightly over 20 minutes to play. I think it was something like 3.3 goals per game that the Singapore Premier League averaged last season. And the way it's going, the averages are holding up. Oh, look at that. Lovely play by Fabian Kwok. And a great tackle by Harith Kanadi. What an impressive youngster Harith Kanadi is.
Really good.
His physical attributes of his game belie his stature, really, don't they? Just as we say that, he gives the ball to Fabian Kwok and is bailed out by Ichikawa, but it still comes to Tomoyuki Doi. Tomoyuki Doi gives it to Hafiz, and his low shot doesn't have much power, and Hyrule's able to gather. That equaliser from Balestier Kausa. 60 seconds later, Tampines Rovers go up the other end of the pitch and retake the lead. So goals flying in left, right and centre. The Lion City Sailors have made it 4 at their game at Tanjung Bagara United. So every game bar the Young Lions Albrechts Nagata game has seen more than 2 goals already tonight, and we've still got 22 minutes to play. Did him impressed by Yamazaki? First look at Kaishu Yamazaki in orange and black, having seen him play for home last season, or Lion City Sailors, I should say. Slap of the wrists.
Well, he's looked very tidy in central midfield, and it was always going to be the case. Well, I'll get back to that after we see this attack.
Tomoyuki Doi into the area. Doi goes down.
Great challenge.
Nathan Chan not interested, and Roshan has him getting it right, and it's behind for a corner.
Great challenge by Faisal. Had to get that one spot on, and the referee's right on point there. It happens right in front of him. He gets that one right. Doi drives into the box. Tries to come across, but that's a superb defensive challenge by Faisal Roslan.
So Nathan Chan continues to put in what, at the moment, is not far off a man of the match performance. The referee's having a sterling game in the tricky conditions. Just as well wanting a chat, I think maybe saw some pushing and subbing out here. I think it's Maxat who's having a little bit of a verbal altercation. Have to say, I mean, his famous last words, bearing in mind the 2-3 draws at the weekend, but if they were to get a 3rd goal here, Hougang, 20 minutes to play, it'd be very tough for Geylang to get back into it, wouldn't it, Roshan?
I think you'd probably say then that would be it.
Tomoyuki Doi. Oh, that's gone everywhere, and it's a great save from Hyrule. It flashed across, and I think it was the skipper Fabian Kwok who couldn't apply the finishing touch, Roshan.
What a chance for Fabian Kwok there as the 2 teams come off for their water break. Big opportunity for Hougang to get their 3rd goal. What a save from Hyrule. Had to react very quickly.
Amir Hakim levelled it up for Bannister Council before big bad Boris Kapinovic put Tampines back in the lead just seconds later. And now 4-0. Both Stipe Plazibat and Song Yong are on a hat-trick at Jurong East. They've both bagged a brace here. Hougang 2-1 in front, courtesy of a penalty 5 minutes after half-time, conceded by Harith Kanadi for a push on Fortunato and Tomoyuki Doi. 11 goals last season. He's now got 2 this. As we get a look at the action, right the way back from the start of the match. And this was the start that won't be fondly remembered by Makundan after Amy Rekka's shot somehow found its way into the back of the net, but the keeper's recovered well from that setback.
Yeah, he certainly did, and his side bailed him out, and they've recovered well overall. He has a beautiful ball played through by Farhan Zulkifli into Tomoyuki Doi. He gets his 1st goal for his club. It's a nice, cool, composed finish. Clever run, just in behind that defense, central defense of Geylang. And then here's that penalty shot. Yeah,
there's the little nudge from Harith Kanada. We had Nathan Chan getting that one spot on. Tomoyuki Doi slotted at home. And then we'll get you back to the live action, which is already resumed as we find our way now in the final quarter of the contest. And it's still up for grabs, but Geylang need to be careful they don't concede a 3rd, as they have continued to struggle with that work down the flanks by a combination of Hougang. It's not been one man individually. You've got Faisal, Shawal Anwar, Zulkifli has been a live wire as well. They've certainly got options, this Hougang team, and the re-strengthening they've done in the close season is not to be sniffed at.
Well, they had a great opportunity from the corner just before the water break through Fabian Kwok. Fortunately, he hit it straight down the middle. Should have done better with that.
Well, they're entitled to make some chances in these corners. They've had 9 of them. Can they make it 9th time lucky? Ichikawa, who's very reliable in those situations, belts it away. But the trouble with defending at the corner like that is there's no green shirts approaching an offensive position here, so they're just going to have to try and soak up a bit more pressure. And the clock's now very shortly not going to be their friend. That's Hafiz with the cross. It comes out to the edge of the area. Fortunato over the bar. Half chance. He's had about 3 half chances now, the Brazilian.
Yeah, he has. They've all ended up over the bar there. I think he just gets underneath that shot. Fortunato. Fortunato. It works his way well in that position. Getting the ball off Hafiz down that left-hand side.
Here's Ichikawa. Well, let's remember as well, with only 3 subs this season, he's played all his cards now, Noor Ali, as they pick up a free kick for the foul by Faisal on Moresche. I haven't really seen Cornvalius have a kick yet, have we? Oh, Moresche has gone down, and this looks bad. It's going to be a yellow card, and I do hope Moresche isn't badly injured here, because Shawal Anwar has gone through him, and that's right in front of the referee. So what do you make of that, Roshan Wright?
Well, it's the right decision. It is a yellow card.
Is it some
Nothing
amateur
more than
dramatics
that.
by
I mean,
Moresche?
look, again, he knows what he's doing. He's nice and direct there. He just gets his body across, and it's a
Studs on the back of the calf.
A challenge from Shawal. Just goes flying into the shins of Yamazaki. I think it's the right call.
It did look like there was some studs on the back of the calf there, but I think you're right. I didn't like the fact Moresche was screaming as if an ambulance needed to be called, and seconds later, when it was only a yellow card, he's bounced up to try and get back in business. Isdin from a set piece. Great delivery from Isdin. Heads are up, and it's guided back to Mukundun.
Well, someone's gone down there. Might have landed wrongly on his ankle. Might be Gilberto. Oh, no, it's not. It's Maksat.
Yeah. Is it an ankle? I always think when they go down awkwardly, the collarbone's the biggest fear, but he seems to maybe be clutching his right ankle, is it? I would venture to suggest in a 2-1 game, as we tick round to 50 minutes to go, that won't be the last player that goes down demanding treatment. Roshan.
Well, a couple of big challenges in there. As the ball came into the box, I see everyone doing their job, and it does kill the tempo a little bit, take the sting out of this game. Geylang will have to be the side that are looking for that second. They have to try and get themselves back into this one, so they want to try and keep that intensity up. The more stoppages here does help Hougang just kill it a little bit.
He's been a physical presence, hasn't he, Max? Only 21. He only featured 7 times last season, but we get the impression, judging by what we've seen today, he's going to be a regular fixture. The advantage of being able to bring in an extra foreigner who's under that age bracket, and at just 21, he's only going to get better, isn't he, Roshan?
Yeah, I think it's a good signing, and you speak to some people around the club here and how happy they are with who they brought in. It took him a bit of a time to adjust, to get things going. Again, I said he is that sort of pure defender, a little bit of a throwback to the kind of defender that throws themselves about, not afraid to get physical in those situations. And there's that other side of his game that he's going to have to develop, his ability on the ball. They're a side that like to pass it around, Hougang. But as you mentioned, I mean, still a very young centre-back, playing in a foreign country, adapting to the league, to the styles, to life on and off the pitch. He's been impressive so far.
Mukundun, speaking of impressive, since that blunder, and if it wasn't for that blunder, he wouldn't be far off man of the match proportions for a youngster coming in to replace an under-pressure goalkeeper who dropped a clanger. But Clement Teo is going to be wondering what he's got to do to get a clean sheet for his defence. The way they're going, they look the more likely to add another goal in this game, don't they? Hafiz down the left, across the 6-yard box. And that was an important clearance by Harith Kanadi. Gilberto. Now they drive through the middle. Fabian Kwok spreads it wide. Can Shawalamwa get there? He can, but he's offside. Gaiylang are going to have to start getting urgent here, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are. And just under pressure is launching the ball into Convalius. That's exactly what he can do there. Gets the support arriving.
Oh, now Moresche down the left. 2 green shirts in the box. Moresche over the top, looking for Convalis, who needs to bring this down and does. Now needs to create some space for a shot and can't. Convalis manages to get the cross away. This is going to be a tester for the keeper. And he just about does enough. It wasn't entirely convincing, but job done at this stage of the game just to get the ball away from danger. Meanwhile, at the other end, Shawalamwa with a chance to reduce Gilberto. And a good header back. And well stopped by Hyrule after it was knocked back by... Who was that got that backward header there?
Faisal Roslan.
Yeah,
Faisal Roslan with the header back.
He's been very influential, Faisal Roslan, in this game, hasn't he?
He has been very good. And again, he's a player that I've quite liked watching through the years in the Singapore professional leagues. I was a bit surprised, actually, that he was let go by Lion City Sailors. But, you know, he's here. He's getting regular game time, showing his qualities in central defence for Geylang.
I think officially it's a loan deal, isn't it? I mean, I know you're not really familiar with loan deals en masse, but with the Sailors having so much talent, as that's a heavy touch from Isdin that's given it to Fabian Kwok. Gilberto gets it wide to Hafiz. I suppose if you're on loan from the Lion City Sailors, you'd always be thinking in a small league like this, you can always impress the manager from afar, can't you? Shawalanwa, he's onside here, header across. Ichikawa sends it in the air, could drop anywhere. It might still drop to Fabian Kwok, who gets it to Shawalanwa. Geylang just losing their shape a little here and desperately need to try and get back possession. Howith Kanadi had a little dig, but it's still back with Shawalanwa. And Kanadi does well, but it's still a throw to the Cheetahs. As Albrecht Nagata had a third at Jalan against the Young Lions. So I think the games at Jurong East, where the Sailors lead 4-0 and Jalan where the champions lead 3-0 are in the books, but still on a knife edge at Topayo. Balestier Castle trailing Tapanese by 2-1. And here, Hougang with a slender advantage against Geylang, but in the ascendancy, Roshan.
Yes. It's going to be an interesting final 10 minutes or so of this game.
Fortuna did really well there, and it might come to Tom Yukidoi, who gets it back to Hafiz on the edge of the area! There's the ball game! Arguably the best goal of the match, and it should secure the 3 points for Clementio's Cheetahs. Wonderful finish from the substitute Hafiz, and a lovely, well-worked goal that has been coming, Roshan Wright.
Well, what a goal by Hafiz. I mean, you talk about making changes and changing the games off the bench. Brilliant finish by Hafiz. Gets a bit of space on the edge of the area and it drives it into the back of the net. Plenty of power behind that strike. And what was I saying about it? Should be an interesting last 10 minutes or so. I think that's done now with Hougang getting a bit of a cushion. 3-1.
Just before you start inking this one in the ledger, what did we say? Where were we on Saturday and Sunday?
Have a look at it again. That long throw that comes in, it's Gilberto Fortunato. It's again good strong play, hold up by Tomoyuki Doi on the edge of the penalty area.
I love that touch from Hafiz as well to get it on his left foot, really delicate. Meanwhile, Moresche deflected and behind for a corner. Don't rule out the 3-3. It seems to be that the in-fashion scoreline in the RA Singapore Premier League this season. Howith Kanadi, if they want to be a 3-3, they need to get the 3-2 up rather quickly, you fancy. Playing it out from the back with Darren Tay. Plenty of bodies in the area, but it took a bit of good fortune to get it to drop to Faris Farhan, and it's just wide. Say just wide, it might have been slightly wider than it looked at the time, Roshan.
Well, they're saying it took a deflection there. Faris is convinced it's taken a deflection off and it should have been a corner. The referee was right behind him as he took that shot. Here's another look at that goal once again. I mean, the play up front here is just brilliant. I mean, from your two important centre forwards, that header back in from 18-year-old Farhan Zulkifli, intelligent, clever header back into Tomoyuki Doi, and then the strike sets himself up really well, Patrick, as you mentioned, with that first touch. 4 players involved in that goal. Best goal of the game? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
It's a game that's given us 4 goals. Is there going to be any more? It's the Halls that are cheering the loudest over there on that far side, social distancing outside the stadium.
I was just sorry, but I was just very quickly thinking, running through the goals that we've seen in this game. Certainly can't be the first one.
Well, it certainly won't be the first. I mean, the second one was a great finish from Tomoyuki Doi, but a defensive mistake. The third one was obviously a penalty, and that was just a wonderful team goal. I mean, you could say Geylang were a bit slow in getting the ball clear, but it was well worked by Gilberto, and you were quite right to highlight Zulkifli's influence as well. And can they get number 4 here? All of a sudden, Geylang losing their shape completely. Gilberto! It's all over now. Gilberto Fortunata with his first goal in the AIA Singapore Premier League. And Hougang have finally found some form at home. They're bashing the Eagles by 4-1. Roshan
Yeah,
Wright.
that's definitely it. And he's deserved that goal for his work in this game here up front for Hougang. He's been a constant threat. We spoke about him perhaps not really having that pace to get past that last line, but he's got plenty of power. Here he is once again showing that with that late run into the box. They don't quite pick him up. First touch to set himself up. Second touch into the back of the net. He deserves that. He's been outstanding up top for Hougang in this game.
Well, despite the start of the second half, when we saw the arrival of Moresche and Silvano Convilius, and we thought, well, this will be the momentum swinging in Geylang's way. It was Clementio who kept his substitutes on the bench a little while longer, who've really just dominated and bossed this second stanza, Roshan.
Yeah, they haven't allowed Geylang to get themselves into this game at all. When they've had to pack the bodies in deep, they've done that. Hougang, even with the changes we talking about at halftime, with how Hougang would be dealing with that threat, and they've dealt with it convincingly, incredibly well. There's always been a player close to Moresche. Whenever he gets on the ball, there's been someone in touch with him, making sure he doesn't have the freedom to sort of turn and run the game for Geylang in those attacking areas. Kembali at times has gone up for headed challenges. Yes, he's won them. Yes, he's been able to turn away from his defender a couple of times, but there's never been a situation where they've been under real threat, where Geylang have created dangerous opportunities in the second half. They've generally had a good handle of this game, have Hougang.
I can tell you the Lion City Sailors have added a fifth. It's a second half rout at Jurong East. Hougang United 0, Lion City Sailors 5. And by my reckoning, after 19 goals on the opening round, we're now at 16 goals in the second round. And of course, there's still minutes to play. We'll update you on who got that fifth goal, because it'll be interesting to see if it was either Stipe Plazabat or Song Ul-yong who would have scored what would be the season's first hat-trick. So the only game still in the balance now really is Balestier Khalsa 1, Tampines Rovers 2. Well, the Lion City Sailors have scored 5. Can Hougang emulate that? Shawal Anwar over the top. Hafiz won't be able to keep that in. It's behind for a goal kick.
They've looked much better here, Hougang, than in that first game against Albirex. They were really struggling to sort of get their possession game going, their progressions when they were in the possession phases going, and that one didn't really create too many clear-cut opportunities. There was a fantastic goal by Jarolong, of course, but aside from that, they weren't really in it.
Oh, he's stolen that, Moresche, but the touch was too heavy, and he might win a free kick now. I'd like to see the replay here, because Moresche went down in a delayed fashion. There's going to be a yellow card as well to Lionel Tan. Is that another example of Nathan Chan's excellent officiating, Roshan?
That's an interesting one here, because I think what's happening is Lionel's accusing Mathias Moresche of going down very late, which he did. I think the moment he saw Mukundan coming out to try and get the ball, he said, I'll go down and try and win the free kick here.
There's going to be another card here. He's already booked Lionel Tan, so he needs to be careful. Doesn't show any dissent to add to the yellow that's already been shown. Moresche as well. Ask him to go away.
But the decision that he's got to make there is, it looked to me like Moresche had actually gotten the touch in, gotten in behind. So then the decision the referee's got to make is whether Lionel's denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity here.
Well, I mean, Moresche went down in installments, didn't he? But I mean, you could say that's the thing. It was a foul, and you could say Moresche tried to play on to get it to not do that, but then eventually went down very, very delayed. Yeah.
So the thinking behind Nathan Chan's decision there is he's got to interpret it as is it the denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity? If it is Doxo, then it is a red card, but obviously doesn't feel it was an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, so it's just gone with the yellow in that situation.
Well, back to the action, and if they can make a goal from this, we're going to be in for a grandstand finish. Freeze Farhan. No one attacking it, but it might still come to him on the edge of the area. Oh, Shawal Anwar's read that beautifully. And now Hougang are attacking with pace and with numbers, trying to get the fifth to cap off what's been arguably their best performance in the AIA SPL since they beat Tampines Rovers at our Tampines hub last season. That really was their only standout result. Other than Tampines, the only teams they beat last campaign were Hougang United and the Young Lions. So this would be their best result since that win against Tampines.
Well, the way the season ended was really disappointing, wasn't it? I mean, started to lose games, concede goals, and quick to try and draw a line underneath that this season. And they put in, a good performance here, a good reaction to that display against Albirex.
And they look hungry for more goals, which is always a good sign, isn't it? They want to really go for the throat now. A penny for Noor Ali's thoughts, by the way. We're lauding Clement Teo for what he said at half-time. Noor Ali's got to be disappointed with the impact Moresche and Convalius have had. I mean, there's no getting away from it. They looked less in the game with them than they did in the first half without them. Yeah,
I think, there's a way around that. It's completely understandable that they'd be a little bit short of fitness, a little bit short of sharpness, especially if they only just recently come into training. So there's a reason for that, and there's an understandable reason for perhaps some of the performances here that we've seen. Could you say maybe a bit of fatigue creeping in? Possibly.
Well, Geylang played an extra, had an extra less day's rest,
exactly.
didn't they? Yeah.
that could be something that could come into it as well. And Hougang have made 4 changes, opposed to Geylang's 2.
Double digits for corners, they have 10, and they very nearly had a chance to get a 5th goal, but the flag was up for an infringement. I'm anxiously waiting to see who got the 5th goal at Jurong East. I can tell you it was a penalty. We're just awaiting confirmation of the scorer. Meanwhile, Tampines Rovers, nervy injury time coming up for them. They're into the 90th minute there. They still lead 2-1. Ichikawa heading it to the side for Faisal Roslan. Going to be 5 minutes of time to be added on. So maybe not quite done with the goal scoring yet. Silvano Convalius. What a challenge that was by Maksat.
Yeah, fantastic defending by Maksat Zakibaliev. Again, another important challenge that he needed to make. I think that last defender there before Geylang would have gone through. Was good touch by Convalius there. Again, the very classic target man, number 9, isn't he? Made it stick on that occasion, got that support arriving. Almost skipped past that challenge of Maksat Zakibaliev.
The 2-goal hero for Albrechts on Saturday against Hougang. Got another tonight. Kiyoshiro Tsuboi. So he is now, I'm just trying to do the maths. Is he the top scorer with 3 goals for the season? I think he must be, right? We've got Tomoyuki Doi's got 2 here today. Gabriel Quack had 2. Hafiz Noor had 2. I think there was a brace for Hoshino as well, wasn't there, for Badastir in that 3-1 Young Lions game. So as the 4th official confirms the 5 minutes.
I think it's Yasser Hanapi with 2.
Yes.
From that opening game.
I don't know, I'm talking about Hafiz Noor for it. It was Yasser Hanapi. I'm getting my cultured midfielders mixed up. It was Yasser Hanapi, wasn't it? Yeah. And then, of course, we had Moresche with 2 in the game on Sunday. So plenty of players finding their goal-scoring form, but it's Hougang as a team that have found their form here. And I think, in some ways, 4 goals, 3 different goal scorers, and the fact that the only goal they conceded was, as Mukunda went on to prove throughout the remainder of the game, just an obliteration, really. They've looked sound defensively since that 4th minute.
Yeah, they have. Again, you look at the bodies that they have in those situations as well, the players that they are getting back together. Again, as I touched on in that first half, how they're moving together as a unit, as a team, closing the lines. There's nice compactness in those spaces, and then when they need to come in with aggression, they're doing that as well.
Look at that turn from Moresche. That's his quality, but can they make something from it? It would only be a consolation, but it'd be a great consolation if Moresche can finish, and he pulls it wide.
Harit's gone down on this left-hand side as well. There's nobody near him.
I hope he's okay.
Tweaked his ankle, but a lovely bit of play by Moresche. Just spin away from Faiz Saleh, receiving it back and then just dragging a shot wide in the end. At that angle towards the far post covered.
Oh, new season, it's going to be a same old story because Albrechts Nagata with a 3-0 win tonight. Subject to any late goals there with a 3-1 win. And how good does that 3-1 win against Hougang look now after tonight, Roshan?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all talking about the buzz around the new clubs, and I think it's going to be more competitive. But if anyone thinks Albrechts Nagata are going to roll over, let their tummies be tickled and have that title taken away from them, there's a big mistake in that school of thinking. One of the Singapore teams is going to have to step up and fight hard.
Well, I think that's what I was talking to you about earlier, about Albrechts and how good they look, even with those changes that they've made. In terms of having to reshuffle, bring in a whole bunch of new players into the side, they still look so well balanced, so organized. The intensity of their play, the way that they press the opposition, they really didn't allow Hougang to get into a groove at all in that opening match. And then, of course, being clinical enough, the movement off the ball, how quickly they move the ball itself. It's just looking very good for Albrechts at the moment. And, you know, they made some smart signings as well. Tsuboi looks like a really good number 9 for them to lead the line.
Replacing, of course, Tomoyuki Doi, who's bagged the brace here today. First full-time whistle's gone tonight, and it's gone at Jurong East. Tanjung United, they will go on a little while longer. It's now 2,337 days since they won an AIA Singapore Premier League match. They've been beaten 5-0 by the big spending Lion City Sailors. They're into injury time everywhere else. The full-time whistle's gone at Jalan Besar, Young Lions 0, Albrechts Nagata 3. So whatever happens now, Albrechts Nagata will be top as is Convalius with his first goal in Singapore. Looked like he lacked a yard of pace there, and Lionel Tan ultimately got back comfortably.
Yeah, not really his game, is it? It doesn't look like it on evidence of this, to be chasing balls in behind the defense. But played into him like that, should be able to hold it up, get the support arriving.
Harith Kanadi for a consolation. It would be a thing of beauty. Why has he not gone on his own, Roshan?
Wonderful work by Hari Kanadi. Again, that's a great example of why I'm a big fan of this young man. Wonderful energy and pace in there, not afraid to take his defenders on. Perhaps should have gone for a goal himself, but he might have felt in that situation that the angle was a little bit too tight. Saw options in the box to play into. Decided to be unselfish in that situation. Mukundan does have his near post covered, does have his angles covered. He's looking for Amy in the end at the back post.
There was a couple of olays, I think, from Harith Kanadi in that run, and he's an early contender for the most improved player in the AIA Singapore Premier League. Will be a long season though, as Moresche. He's another man that's got some tricks down the left-hand side. Moresche. And that will be behind for a corner, which might well end up being one of the last passages of play of the game. Full time at Topayo. Tampines Rovers have beaten Balestier Causa by 2-1. All the goals in that one coming in the second half. The only game still in progress is the game here at the Hougang Stadium, where a second half blitz from the Cheetahs is going to give them 3 points after they trailed early on. Any goal Gaiylang get now will be a mere consolation. Delivered in, headed straight to Moresche. And Moresche does really well to get it back to Faris Farhan, who's tried to catch Mukundan out. And the keeper, I don't think he was helped particularly there by Gilberto Fortunato, but they survive.
I think he called for it, Mukundan. Just had one of his teammates in behind him. So he couldn't quite claim it that well. I mean, it's an interesting ball. Just put up by Faris, giving the goalkeeper something to think about. It was Gilberto spot on there, Patrick.
Of course, in that situation, you're used to seeing the goalkeeper barge the defender out the way, but when the outfield player is the unit that is Gilberto Fortunato, it's not that straightforward. This will be the last passage of play. It's the last game in progress, and what's been a goal fest of a Wednesday night after the 19 goals we saw over the weekend. This second round of matches has given us 16 to add to the tally and a stunning start to the 2021 AIA Singapore Premier League. Hougang worthy winners, Roshan.
Yeah, certainly. And again, a performance here is so much better from the first game against Albirex, and we were looking for that response. We certainly got it. Quick tempo, good intensity to their play, wonderful intact, very lively and organized together as a team defensively. On and off the ball, working really well together. Nice compactness between the lines, and they got their rewards with some wonderful goals. Nice touches. Noorani goes to congratulate Clement Teo as the two shake hands. And we'll very shortly show you the story of the game and the goals that flew in. 5 of them, 2 in the first half, 3 in the second. It's finished here. Hougang United 4, Geylang International 1. So let's take you back to the 4th minute. Seems like a lifetime ago now. Good hustle. Mistake from Shoal Anwar. Picked up well by Van Hughes and Amy Mereka with a turn, and we'll be wondering till next Christmas how that one got past Mukundan. Yeah, I mean, again, it was a bad mistake, but to his credit, he responded well. He had a good performance after that, and so did his side. They helped him out. Tomiyuki Doi with a lovely finish after a great through ball by Farhan. This was perhaps one of the turning points of the game in terms of giving Hougang the opportunity to get the go-ahead goal. Certainly a penalty, I thought. Harith Kanadi with that elbow into the back of Gilberto, and Doi putting his second goal away. This was the best goal of the night and the goal that really put the game to bed. Wonderful work, I mean, from Farhan just to head it back cleverly into Doi. He just gets his pass into Hafiz Sujat, spot on, and Hafiz Sujat, excellent finish. First touch to set himself up, beautiful left-footed finish in the end. And then Fortunato adding the 4th, getting his first goal for his club to a round of a strong, solid performance. Disappointing from a Geylang point of view that despite his introduction for the first time in Singapore at half-time, Silvano Convalius, the Dutch striker, unable to really make an impact. There you see it, Hougang out shooting Geylang 16-11. They were better on target as well. 19 corners in the game. That must be a record for the season so far. And a game that a card wasn't shown for the first hour ended with there being a flurry of them. Farhan, Lionel Tan and Shoal Anwar in the book, in addition to 1 yellow card for Geylang. Let's run you through the scores from around the grounds very quickly and then get Roshan's thoughts on how the table's shaping up early. Obviously 4-1 here, we know, at Topayo. All the goals coming in the second half. Tampines taking the lead 10 minutes into the second stanza through Taufik Sapano. Amir Hakim equalising to make it 1-1 with 23 minutes to go, but just seconds later, Boris Kapitovic gave the Stags all 3 points. The Sailors, it was 0-0 at half-time there as well, but a Stipe Plazibat brace, Song Uyong
2 as well. And there was a 5th goal scorer. We don't know yet. Could well be, if Plazabat was still on the park, that he converted it to get his hat-trick, but it was 5-0 nonetheless. And Albrecht Nagata, the champions, well, they've played 2-1-2. The only team so far that went on 100% record, Taniguchi, Ito and Suboi for his 3rd of the season. So far, Roshan, Albrecht's 100%, and they've got the league's leading goal scorer as well.
I'll tell you what, it really looks like the table that we thought it looked like at the start of the season. It's got the teams that we expected to be right up there. Albrechts with 100% start, 3 goals in the first game, 3 goals in the next one, 6 points on the board. Lion City Sailors and Tampines Rovers keeping chase, and Hougang United will be feeling a lot better about themselves.
So only 3 teams yet to pick up a win: Balestier Kausa Young Lions and Tanjung Pagar United. So that just about wraps it up from here at Hougang this wet Wednesday. Don't forget, this weekend we have got 2 great double headers for you. First on Saturday, Sailors and Cheetahs from Jalan Besar, and what a game that's shaping up to be. The Sailors got 5 tonight, Hougang got 4. Could be another goal fest on a Saturday night at Jalan Besar. Geylang International get a great chance to bounce back as they go to our Tampines hub to entertain the Young Lions. Then on Sunday, Roshan and myself will be at Jurong East, where Albrecht Nagata will put that 100% record on the line against one of the teams that hasn't won a game yet, Balestier Kausa, and the weekend rounds off with Gavin Lee's Tampines Rovers entertaining Tanjung Pagar United. I'll say one thing about an 8-team league, Roshan, it means you never go more than a week without a big game, and this weekend's no different.
Yeah, it's looking great. I'm looking forward to those fixtures coming up. Wonderful quality on display, and it's fantastic to see the Hougang players going over to their fans out there. They've rewarded them with a wonderful performance, 4 goals and all 3 points.
And just in the interest of balance, over on the other side of the pitch, Geylang, despite the disappointment, have gone to pay respect to the Ultras as well. It's what football's all about. The fans aren't allowed back in yet, but their dedication sees them observe social distancing locked outside the stadium. Let's hope that it's not too long before they can come back into the ground. That does it from Rosh, myself and all the production team on a very busy day of AIA Singapore Premier League action. We'll stay safe, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday.